kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Get Mo Bob Get Well Spectacular Thursday thick of it. I am GreenBean. I am so psyched to be here yet again with you guys. I mean that sincerely. This is like the best for me. I love Thursday nights. I feel like it's a get together of really good friends. You know what I'm saying? It's one of my favorite things in the whole week to do. So here we are yet again. It just comes every week. It just pops right back up. The Thursday thick of it with all of our friends. And like I said, I want to just start the show with this, and we'll talk about it numerous times throughout the night. This is the Get Mo Bob Get Well Spectacular. That's what we're calling this one. I put a link pinned in the top of the chat box there, that there's a link there. If you want to sign a Get Well card to Get Mo Bob, every single one of you can do that. So just click on the link. It'll open the card. You write your message and hit enter, and it's in there for them. I want to make the announcement, though. Get Mo Bob did make it through that surgery that he was talking to us about the other night. So he's at least made it through, and the prognosis is positive. So good news. And that's the best we could hear, right? So he might pop in tonight. I'm not sure if he's going to be up to it or not, but we got the good news that he made it through surgery. So I wanted to pass that on before we go any further. So speaking of going any further, what would I be doing if I didn't allow you guys to receive the wonderful stylings of Mr. Frankie from Flatbush? Let's say hello to our co-host, Frankie. What's up, buddy?
Hello, GreenBean. Hello, everybody. And guess what? Gitmo Bob is in the chat. Can you believe it? So good to see Gitmo. Happy to see everybody healthy. And it's that time of the week to gripe intelligently.
There it is. So thank you for letting me know. I was like, he might be here. He's already here. So there you go. Here. That's good. So he says, hello, everyone in the Jets fam. I'm back minus a few internal parts on some good painkillers and on the mend. Everyone's support is appreciated from me and my entire family to all of you. Well, there you go, man. And thanks for stopping by and writing that, Bob. You know, we love you. You know that. I mean, maybe you'll be inspired to give us higher than a C on one of these Monday night mocks now with all the love. Maybe that'll inspire, maybe not. But it wouldn't be the same here without you, my friend. I mean that sincerely, and I'm happy that you're on the mend. So what's up with you, Frankie? How's your week going? Anything interesting in particular you want to make sure we clear out before we move into the Jets?
Well, you know, I just saw something very, very interesting, GreenBean. I saw somebody correlating college pressure rates to pro win rates. And guess who is at the top of the list? You'll never guess.
On the top of the list for this year?
I guess it was last year or the last 2 years. I wasn't, it was a chart, so it was a little confusing. It wasn't in an Excel spreadsheet as I prefer.
Right. Yeah. But it wasn't in your native tongue.
Yeah. It was in this weird chart form, but it was showing current players in the NFL, including some from our team. And at the top of the list, I'll just tell you, you'll never guess.
I want to guess. Once. Okay. Bryce Huff.
You got it.
No way. Is that for real?
Bryce freaking Huff. And I was saying,
God.
And this was on Reddit, by the way. Anybody wants to check this, go check out the New York Jets Reddit. They're talking about this. It was fascinating. And I was like, Bryce Huff, how's he on top? That is crazy talk. But then again, maybe we got something in little Bryce Huff. You never know.
Well, Robert Saleh seems to like him. Now, I want to just tell you, like, this could seem from the naked eye that Frankie and I talked about it. We're trying to make GreenBean look good, like he's super smart. I want you to know we did not talk about this, and I did not know that. Yeah. That was what we call a lucky guess. And it was funny because I thought on our line, who's least likely? And I picked Bryce Huff.
Well, it's fascinating. And, for a guy who was a UDFA, what a pickup.
Right.
Even if he gives you, Lord knows, and I looked this week at pressure rate and things like that, and he gets in there a decent amount. He gets a decent amount of pressures per pass rush snap, and he does an okay job. And by the way, Carl Lawson is a monster. And
we'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about
every statistic shows that. But and he's in there, and so you go, all right, well, for our second team, hey, that's a pretty good guy to have on your second tier. So I don't know. It's pretty encouraging, I thought.
Yeah, that is encouraging. Well, and we've heard too that Robert Saleh is absolutely smitten with Bryce Huff. So don't forget, he got hurt last year too. So he was supposed to come in
all of our rushers,
all
everyone.
of them.
Lawson, Curry, Huff, and then people say, why didn't we rush the passer? Well, we didn't have anybody.
Well, right. It's like, where did our pass rush go? Saleh sucks. But it's like, when you look at it, Bryce Huff, we thought, and these were discussions we had, that he's not really ready to be a full, an every down, full-time pass rusher. But that got accelerated when Carl Lawson, Vinny Curry, and Ronald Blair went down. Like, don't forget, even if those guys were supposed to have, a minimal capacity as far as how much of our rotation they took up, they still were a part of it, and they all were gone. So Bryce Huff came in. If you remember in the preseason, he came in like shot out of a cannon. Yeah. And then I believe it was game 1, he even looked good. Maybe I remember that wrong. But anyway, he got hurt. So even his exciting, accelerated season got cut short. There's a lot of potential on this team, man. And if Joe Douglas's new medical staff now having their first off season with the players to kind of institute their philosophies and their dietary requests or requirements and all their medical protocols and their training, hopefully this will start to settle now, and we will see the injury things start to subside. I'm okay with a complete 180, but if it just starts to subside, like if we could only lose half of our edge rushers, or even Quinnen Williams was hurt, JFM got hurt, Fadu Kasi was out, Kyle Phillips was out till game 9 or 10. So like everybody on the line, we were supposed to have this, at least the beginnings of a vaunted defensive line. It was widely regarded as the strength of this team, and we never really saw it at full strength. And so that would be nice. And Bryce Huff coming out and showing us on the sneaky sneak, I might be the best guy in this room. Is that what you're saying, Frankie?
Even if you look at that and say, listen, he can't play the run. Okay. He can't do that, but we can bring him in 3rd and long. We had a problem with 3rd and long. Remember 3rd and 26 and they get a first down and everybody's screaming at the television. What the hell's going on here? So even if we bring him in and hopefully we'd be able to cover people a little better this year.
Yeah.
for more than 2 seconds.
Well, that would be nice, right? As we know, there's a design to this, and it starts with affecting the offensive squad, behind center and all that. So it starts with that, right? And if that's happening, then we can see our cornerbacks who played admirably last year, first time in the system, most of them, all of them, late round picks, some of them rookies, some of them second year players. So it would be nice to see it all start to piece together now. Frankie, we got a little congratulatory super chat from Salty Nuts Magoo here. He says, congratulations to brother Frankie on 1,000 subs. So congrats to you, Frankie. Now I don't know where I heard this, but I heard that you were going to be giving away subs for 1,000 subs. Did I hear that wrong?
No, what you should have heard, GreenBean, is that I'm going to give away a GreenBean t-shirt from the GreenBean store. I only have one, so it's not of your choice. But on Saturday, I'm going to do a special live stream with the subscribers only. So thank you to all the subscribers. Anybody in the chat who is a subscriber, I see a bunch of you over there. Thank you very much. Couldn't do it without you, obviously. And we'll do a special subscriber only live stream on Saturday, and we'll give away a Green Bean t-shirt. That way you can wear Green Bean's face on your shirt.
Something like this.
Something
Similar
like
to,
that.
yeah.
If you want to carry
nice.
around with you Green Bean's face, you can do it with a t-shirt.
There you go. Well, there you go. And you know what? Look, nobody's more deserving, Frankie. I sincerely enjoy your content. I mean that sincerely. It's of a different take, and it's coming to us from a different angle, as is standard, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Speaking of content, Owen checks in and he says, dude, I hate these mocks. These guys have no edges going in the first round. Shake my head. Well, I don't know exactly who he's talking about, but what I want you guys to know is Frankie, Wat2K, Jeremy, myself, and Dom C have all put in our mocks. We worked on it all day. It should be released tomorrow. And I haven't told these guys yet, Owen, but I might as well take this opportunity to do it. I'm also planning a live stream with them so we can talk about it, just a full mock draft, what we've designed on our own, to discuss it and compare and go back and forth and see who's right. Because we have to find out who's right before we know who's right. That's very important. It's very important to decide that. So we're going to have a special live stream, a special event as well. I'll be announcing that shortly, and it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I mean, look, mock drafts, in my opinion, most of them are designed to get people talking. That's it. So if they can upset you, if they can rub you the wrong way, that's just how it's going to go, B2B says the draft can't come soon enough. Well, it's coming. It's ticking away. Now, it is April 7th right now. The draft is on April 28th. It begins. So that is 21 days. That is 3 touchdowns away. The average lead we will have going into the fourth quarter this year, that's how far away we are from the draft. And let me tell you, it's going to feel like it's tomorrow. This is what happens when we start talking draft in October. Now it's like, here we are in April. You're like, I can't do it. I can't make it. I can't talk drafts anymore. What do you think, Frankie? Are you all draft out?
Well, I kind of have been. I haven't been doing as many mocks maybe as others. I've been looking at other people's mocks and mocking their mocks, or just kind of analyzing their mocks, especially my favorite, Cynthia Cyborg Freeland, as folks who are subscribed to my channel know. But so I like seeing what they do, and I like seeing their different methodologies. And one of the reasons I like her so much is she has a completely different methodology. But it does seem, and the new one out today is Peter Schrager. And Schrager has us taking Sauce Gardner and Jameson Williams in the first round.
Sauce Gardner and Jameson Williams. Yeah. Now, what do you think of that? Is that up your alley?
Well, if we did that, GreenBean, let me ask you a question. And this is something I've been thinking about. Would we then make Bryce Hall a slot corner? Or is that not, can he not play the slot?
I think he could play slot, but I think Michael Carter honestly, I think Michael Carter is our slot. Like, I think
because if you get Sauce Gardner, he's starting. Like, he's going to start over Bryce Hall. I don't think
without question.
So what are you going to do? Sit Bryce Hall on the bench or trade him? I mean, because if you thought Bryce Hall could be a better slot than Michael Carter, which I don't know. I don't know that. But if you did, and you thought Michael Carter's more naturally a backup, let's say, but I don't know that. I'm just saying speculation. Then you could say, okay, we'll improve our starting slot by moving Bryce over there, cover those linebackers a little bit, cover those tight ends a little better, cover those shifty, in 11 personnel, cover the shifty wide receivers a little better. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. This is the problem I have with it. Like, so do I think Bryce Hall is so good that we don't have to think corner for the next 10 years already? No, I'm not there. You guys know I liked Bryce Hall in college. I liked him as a selection, and I've been rooting for him because I believe in him, not just because I root for every Jet, but I actually believe in Bryce Hall. But he's not there yet. He hasn't carved out his spot on the team without question. He's not Revis, let's say. So, but that said, I think that we have used 4 draft picks and 2 undrafted free agent spots and paid one of those free agents the highest free agent cornerback, undrafted free agent, that is, cornerback money in the history of the NFL, and we just brought in an $11 million cornerback. So for me, it's not that if Sauce is there and he's clearly the best player on your board that you can't take him. At the same time, it seems to me that we've put assets into the cornerback spot. We have completely ignored edge. We have, in large part, ignored linebacker. Obviously, other than Avery Williamson and C.J. Mosley that Mac brought in, but we haven't really gone linebacker. So I think that we could use those assets rather than going sauce and creating the situation that you just talked about. I would rather see our guys, run it back for season 2. Now they know the system and the whole deal. They've had the NFL offseason, the whole thing. Come back in, see what we have with these guys when we've focused on edge and linebacker, maybe even a safety. And let's see what we have before. Because next year, Frankie, I'm going to tell you a secret. You might know this secret, but a lot of guys don't realize this. But next year in the draft, there's going to be 1 or 2 cornerbacks that everybody feels the same way they do about Sauce now. Then there's going to be the best cornerback ever coming out next year. It's just the way it is. So is Sauce a once in a lifetime guy? I don't know. Some people seem to think so, but I think, just like you said, if you bring in Sauce, it creates a little bit of a logjam where we don't need to have one. And we've used that premium asset and ignored another position. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but let me pose this to you. You know who needs a good cornerback? The San Francisco 49ers. You know what else they need? They need a guard. You know what else they would need? They would also need a replacement wide receiver if we were to trade them for Deebo Samuel. And they would need some draft capital that we also have, and we also have the money to sign Deebo Samuel. So how about we give them 3 players, some picks, we sign Deebo, and boom, we're instantly recognizable and respectable in the AFC East. How about that?
So what I'm hearing you say right now is you want to put up Greg Van Roten,
right?
You want to put up Denzel Mims,
right?
And you want to put up Bryce Hall and a smattering of draft capital to get Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, why not? That's a good. They need a guard. They don't have one. We stole theirs, Lakin.
We did.
Well, they're going to try and go with the kid from Notre Dame, who they're not even sold on. So Greg Van Roten could probably start for them. So we'll give them a starting guard. We give them a starting cornerback. We give them a backup wide receiver, and we give them a couple of picks, and we get a little Deebo. What's wrong with that? A little Z-Dub, but 2 Deebo.
Well, okay, because then what you've effectively done there is you more than likely upgraded the cornerback spot, right? Like,
right.
Sauce Gardner is a higher pedigree than Bryce Hall, right? So let's just start there. It's not saying that Bryce won't be there and all that, but just where they stand today. Sauce Gardner would be looked at as an upgrade. So you upgrade the cornerback spot, you upgrade the wide receiver and running game spot, because let's not forget Deebo Samuel. If I'm not wrong, he might even be near their leading rusher. So he does all kinds of fun stuff for the San Francisco 49ers. So you upgrade that part of your game, and you've made $3 million because you've gotten rid of Greg Van Roten. I mean, maybe that's why they're hanging on to him
somebody's got to want him, even as a backup. I mean, I know Jet fans hate Greg Van Roten, but literally they have a rookie that they took last year that did nothing for them and looks not good. The kid out of Banks, I think, is Aaron Banks. I think.
Right.
And they have no idea what he is. At least with GVR, you have something you can rely on. And if Banks beats him out in training camp, then you have a backup. And this all comes down to them wanting or not wanting to pay Deebo. Now there is speculation. Deebo took he's doing the thing on his Instagram and all of that.
He's doing the thing.
So there's speculation. Deebo maybe wants out of there. Maybe they don't have the money to pay him, but we do. And don't forget, he knows LaFleur. He knows Saleh. He knows Coach Benton. He knows our system. Be plug and play. No presto changeo. He just comes right in, does the same thing, gets his money. Look. Then we use the 10th pick on. Then we use the 10th pick on edge. So then we get our corner, we get our edge, we got our wide receiver room done. Well, maybe we take one in the 5th round, something like that, to replace. We need a depth. But I don't know. I was thinking about that trade just before this show, and it seems to make a lot of sense to me if the 49ers don't want to pay him. That's the big if.
Yeah. Now, look, I don't know what Greg Van Roten's reputation is out there. I think if they watched him play, they're not thinking he's a solution. They'll pray, hey, add competition or something. If he was a throw-in, yeah, sure, he's better than the undrafted free agent we got in here, something like that. Now the trade is interesting. Let me just say that if that was the trade, and what would be the draft pick?
I'd give them a second and a fourth. Yeah,
a second, a fourth, Bryce Hall, Greg Van Roten, Denzel Mims. Dude, that's a lot of capital. I wouldn't want to see that much. I'm thinking maybe one pick.
Right.
And
give him a third, or give him
a third. Yeah. So now look, but if they said, hey, a second gets it done, then I would, we'd have that discussion. Do I think it's realistic? Probably not, but that's interesting. And that would be a route that I'd like to see Joe Douglas go. Maybe not that exact trade, but like a route where you're creatively creating opportunities for upgrades, creatively creating opportunities to upgrade and create cap space with, in a different way than just cutting someone. I mean, everybody has some value somewhere. We know this because Blake Cashman got a 6th round pick.
This is what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
so that would be interesting.
There was speculation that the 49ers would sign Dan Feeney to be their starting guard. Dan Feeney is who they were speculating. So GVR is an upgrade from Dan Feeney.
That's why Joe snatched him back up. He said, not my Dan Feeney.
You can't have
no
him
way.
either.
You can't have him. Well, look, in Dan Feeney's defense, he can drink.
And he's great for the locker room. Everybody loves him. He's great to hang out with. You got to love it.
Yeah. So that's interesting. We'll talk more about that. We're going to break down some players tonight. We got a few things in store for you guys. I want to get to Philip Allen's question. See what you think about this, Frankie. Do you see us getting a center in the 2nd round? What do you think of that?
No.
No.
I mean, if we're going to, we don't need a center that bad. We had the worst defense in all of football last year. We need defense. Now, we might take a guy in the 4th, 5th round, that's developmental, a guard center, somebody we might want to develop, a guy like Cole Strange, a guy like, I don't know, so somebody. But I wouldn't see us spending premium capital on a position where we have our starter for this year. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Frankie, Phillip. Like, I would be surprised unless we found out that the fact that McGovern didn't come to his quarterback's aid a couple times last year, and maybe the locker room doesn't like him. Like, unless we learn some stuff, like the coaching staff really doesn't dig Connor McGovern all that much or something along those lines, I think he's entrenched this year. And with that said, I don't see us using one of our top 40 picks, our top 4 picks on a position that's already manned. This is the issue I have with tackle. It's the issue I have with center. And like I said before, with cornerback, it's just that we have decent or very good players in these positions. So I don't know. That said, do I think that we will take a swing on a guy that can play guard and center? We know what they did with Cole Strange and Zion Johnson at the Senior Bowl. They're tinkering. They're out there toying with guys and their abilities. So I don't think it's impossible. I actually think it's likely that we'll draft an interior offensive lineman somewhere in this draft. And the idea that he can play center as well, like legitimately play it, I think is a route that they're probably looking to go if they have the opportunity. So that'll be interesting to see. B2B says, why don't we just trade Eddie Pinheiro for Deebo? That'll do it. No, you don't think so?
No. You gotta give up something to get something.
Let's see what Paris.
The way to judge the trades is like if it hurts, if you think no way, that's way too much for the Jet on the Jet side of it, it's probably realistic because you're a Jet fan.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. What do they say about you've gotten a good deal when both parties feel like they lost something, like you leave there going,
fair
shit.
Deal. Yeah, fair deal.
That's fair. Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like a fair contract negotiation. It's when you both feel like shit, you know?
Yeah.
So Paris checks in. He says the Jets are the not ready for primetime players a la Saturday Night Live. The Jets are still another year away from making the playoffs. They need to finish building the foundation with this draft. I agree. I think Jets fans, look, we can't help it. I mean, it's clear. I've been hanging out with Jets fans for 40 years. Now it's the last couple of years I'm even more entrenched with Jets fans, and it seems like no matter what season we have right around now, and then obviously going into training camp, we're of the belief that we're going to be a 10 and above win team. That's just Jets fans cycle. That's what most people think. This is the year we have to get it done and go to the playoffs. Now, all of us would like that. But if we're looking at this without our emotions, you can see there is a very systematic tear down and rebuild of this team going on. Joe Douglas used 2 years to shake off and get rid of all max dead cap and to acquire a boatload of draft picks. Outside of a couple last year, this is the year he gets to use both of those assets. So this really is the first time he has no McCagnon dead cap. And he's got his 2 firsts, his 2 seconds from Jamal Adams, from Sam Darnold, from Avery Williamson, from Chris Herndon. He got rid of all those guys. This is the year he gets to use it, all those assets that he accumulated. So does it seem realistic that we should swing for the fences and go for Jameson Williams? And I don't know, man. Let's just stay smart and keep this thing going. That's why the Tyreek Hill trade kind of surprised me. What we were offering there. It seems very out of character for Joe Douglas, both the player and the amount that we were willing to give up for him. It's not that I don't like Tyreek Hill on the Jets, but it's like, I don't know, it just seemed off. Do you feel the same way, Frankie? Did that one surprise you? 35, 38, and 36. I'm sorry, and 69 for Tyreek Hill and $30 million bucks?
No, it didn't surprise me. I think that Joe Douglas is willing to be aggressive when he feels like the situation is right. And he thought, hey, this is a top 4 receiver in the league. Let's get him here. Let's get him here. And the other thing about this comment by Paris is it depends. I hate to keep saying it, but it depends on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson could be the accelerator. If Zach Wilson takes a jump, we might be a playoff team. If he doesn't take a jump, then yeah, we're not going to be. But if he does, we could be in the mix. We could be in the hunt, as they say on the television, in the hunt. We could see the Jetsies there. If Zach makes the leap and all the everything you would want him to be doing in the offseason, he's doing. We've seen it, right? He's working out with all the fellas. He's doing it all. And it's including Denzel Mims, by the way. And we saw visual evidence of this now. So right. He's doing everything you want him to do. He's working out with Corey. He's hanging out with Braxton. He's throwing to all the other guys too. Everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody's working his fanny off, Zach Wilson. Does that guarantee success? No, unfortunately not. But he's doing everything you could possibly do, that you would want him to do in the offseason. Now, Mac Jones is doing the same thing, so don't get me wrong. Everybody's right. Doing this. Everybody's doing this too. But he's putting in the work, and so I think we should be optimistic, but it all, as we said last year, it all depends on Zach. Zach wasn't good last year, and we weren't good. That's right. What we said would happen. If Zach's good this year, we'll be good.
Frankie pulled out the magic number, everybody. Keep it in your head. If it happens, we're successful. That's Zach Wilson, 65 completion percentage. Yep. If that happens, for him, we're good. We're in. Yeah. We're in the hunt.
Because then all the dominoes start to fall.
That's it. Exactly. And then we got to look at the next stat should be drops. You know what I mean? It's like, that's it. Well, you're not going to get to 65 if you got too many drops. But Gitmo Bob checks in and says, why wouldn't someone think Greg Van Roten is a solution? After all, someone did think Darnold was a solution. That's an interesting point. And I'll use that to talk about our first subject of the day. And then we're going to get into these super chats. I see your super chats, guys, but I want to just briefly mention the Sam Darnold goodies. Now, it's all over the place today as if it's news, but I want to see what Frankie thinks. I want to see what the chat thinks. Sam Darnold was interviewed, and he said that he told the Jets when they let him know that they were thinking of moving in a different direction, you're making a mistake. So, number one, why is this news? Number one. Number two. What do you think? I mean, is this a problem? Is this? I mean, do you think we didn't make a mistake? I mean, where are we with this, Frankie?
Well, this is exactly what you would want Sam Darnold's attitude to be. This is exactly what you would want him to think. He's a competitive guy. He thinks he was a high draft pick, whatever pick he was, I forget. And so, of course, he should think that. He should think that he is an elite quarterback. But then again, Bless Austin thought he was a Pro Bowl cornerback.
Best in the league.
Best in the league. Bless Austin was wrong. And so you want guys to think this, and you would want him to say that. This is exactly what you would want him to say. You want him to say that to the Jets. Yes, that's what you want him to say. And he said it. So, it's not news.
Yeah.
What's newsworthy here?
I don't know, but it's everywhere today. It's like it's all over the place. And I see conversations. People are getting angry at Sam Darnold. That's exactly how I digested it. Well, good. Of course he thinks that. Yeah. He thought, hey, he was coming out of year 3. He just, the Adam Gase years, the no offensive line, the rotation at wide receiver, everybody, letting Robbie Anderson go. He's thinking, shit, man, give me a team with some wide receivers and a running game, and I'm going to flourish. Yeah. And for 3 games, he did.
I mean, what do you want him to say? What do you want him to say? I am horrible. I'm the 35th best quarterback in this league, and I know it. And like, what do you expect him to say?
Yeah, he'll say, yeah, that's probably a good move.
Yeah, you should probably draft 2 of them. Like what?
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I'm still here. Actually.
Yeah. What the hell are you guys doing? You should release me. Like what? Of course he should say that. That's crazy.
Right. So that's the Sam Darnold thing. I know. It's like I wanted to touch on it because it's news today, but I have to say, number one, Sam is already digesting this next team moving on from him. They were very widely publicized to be into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. And you know how Baker Mayfield had to deal with that as well. So we got Sam and Baker. Deshaun Watson's coming to town, one of them, and somebody's getting pushed out. But like they're already rumored to be wanting a quarterback in the draft. They don't have a second, a fourth. They have a nice hole in their draft plan here because they were supposed to have a quarterback right now. So they're more than likely going to use what do they have? The 6th overall pick, more than likely going to use it on a quarterback. That's why it's funny. People say there won't be any top 10 quarterbacks. I'm like, are you aware of the Panthers? You do not. They got to do something. No, I mean, I would think they got to do something. But if they run it back with Sam, he's already feeling the heat from over there. So we're here talking about the Jets. The Jets are long gone. They're way in his rear view. So that poor kid's dealing with he's going to be pushed out of another team, and then he's more than likely relegated to backup duty, man. So I don't see him starting anywhere else, Frankie. I got to admit. So Thomas M checks in. Thank you for the super chat, Thomas. He says, hello, gentlemen. I know we don't need a running back, but oh boy, I'm falling for Walker. That's Kenneth Walker III, I imagine. Him and Carter would be a dominant duo. Frankie, any thoughts on Kenneth Walker III in the draft?
Yes, would love him. And I disagree. We do need a running back. We have a running back, and we have a good third running back in Tevin Coleman. But I believe we need to improve, and this could be something we throw into the trade with the 49ers too. We need to improve on Butterhands Johnson. We don't want Butterhands Johnson here anymore.
No, we don't want him.
He can go in a trade. We can, and then Kenneth Walker or Isaiah Spiller or Breece Hall would be my preference. I like Breece Hall a lot. But any one of those guys, we plug them in as running back 2, and then you have the 2-headed monster of, the rookie and Michael Carter. Remember, Michael Carter's 5'8", I think it is, 5'8", 200 pounds. It's very small. We want to split him up. When he was at UNC, he was split up with Javonte Williams. And that seems like that's a good combo where you have a 2-headed monster with Michael Carter. You keep them both fresh. You have Tevin Coleman as a backup, and there you go. So,
right.
Something like that. I think we do need one because Ty Johnson, I would like to improve upon Ty Johnson.
Yeah, I actually think Frankie's right, Thomas. I think that we're definitely drafting a running back in this year's draft. Now, the only thing that I have a question about is if the bringing in of the right guard and the 2 tight ends, if that motivates the Jets to actually go running back earlier, like take a wide receiver in the first and or second, one or the other, and then use that other second round pick for potentially the best running back in the draft. Like, why not go that route? We know we want one. We know we want to be a running game. And we also know that the kid that we all love is injury prone. I mean, that might not be the way it goes moving forward, but he's had 3 injuries in his rookie year and ended the year not being able to play. So they have to at least be looking at that. Now, talking about Kenneth Walker, he's going to be one of the top 3 running backs drafted, most likely. Yeah. So if you want him, you're going to have to do that little sneak it in the second round action. But I think that I would not be surprised if the Jets decided to forego the common thinking these days and just say, you know what? Nobody's taken a running back yet. Our number 1 running back on our board is sitting right there. We're going to take him. How's that sound? We know we're going to give him the ball 20 times a game, so just take him. I don't see any problem.
We thought that slot was going to go to Trey McBride. Now that we have the tight end room we have, I don't think anybody thinks we're taking Trey McBride in the second round anymore. So why not spend it on either Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall? Looking at Dane Brugler's draft guide out now, he has Walker 1, Breece Hall 2, Spiller 3, Algier 4. So if you want, and he has a first/second round grade on Walker, and he has a second round grade on Hall, and it's third round or worse for the rest. So if you want Walker or Hall, you probably have to get it in the second round. Somebody might take a running back in the first round, but as we all know, that's a bad idea. But somebody might do it who needs it, like Buffalo say. So that one of those 2 might be even gone. And then if you have those 2 as the clearly top of the class, the ones you want, you're going to have to use a second round pick to get one of them. So I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, me neither. And I know a lot of people would be upset with that. Like, you could more than likely get Rachaad White, who I love, by the way, love him to death. I'd be very happy if it was him. You can more than likely get a Rachaad White or an Isaiah Spiller's fallen like a stone. Why? I don't know. He at one time was talked about among the tops of the class, and he's sliding. I still happen to like him, but more than likely it would be safe to think about grabbing one of those guys in the third, more than likely even the fourth. So I don't know, but like I said, if you just want to make sure you're getting the best running back on your board and you swing at second and, in the second round, I don't see an issue with it. I really don't.
I mean, Brugler has a 5th round grade on Rachaad White, 5th round.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Not that this is a Bible, but I mean, he's a pretty well-respected draft guy, Dane Brugler. So he has a 5th round grade on Rachaad White. You could grab him if you get a Rachaad White in the 5th round, that's a heck of a value.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For me, I have him probably 4th round, but I'm saying if you wanted to go early, still go early and get your running back, you could still get Rachaad White and take it, the safe route and grab him in the 3rd. You know damn well he's going to be there. And I said, more than likely still be there in the 4th for you. I don't think he's making it to the 5th, but either way. The point.
But I mean, let's get a premium guy. I mean, a 2-headed monster of Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Boy, do I love that.
Hell yeah.
Or Kenneth Walker. I'll take either one. And that's a hell of a 2-headed monster, and also might keep them both healthier in the long term, by splitting it up.
Yeah. So I'm not against it there, Thomas. I'll tell you. So Sneakers to Boots checks in. He says, it's been too long since we have been physically dominant. 12 personnel and 22 personnel will be full force this year, barring our injury history. Well, right. There's we don't even got to talk about injuries anymore. Okay, let's just pretend. Let's act as if.
Well, because they're so unpredictable. I mean, who could have predicted that last year the Buffalo Bills with a Super Bowl roster and with an average of 3 injuries all year? Remember, I kept track of it all year. They led the league in fewest injuries all year long. They had amazing injury year, really, which is a good thing. We don't want anyone being injured. But even with that happening, they still didn't make the Super Bowl. So it's crazy.
Right. Yeah, well, right. That's one of those things, then it all comes down to the game always. But with us, we have, there was over the 2-year Adam Gase year. I don't think it got any better last year, but I don't have the official stat. Over the Adam Gase year, we had, although that 2-year period, we had more guys on IR than any other team in the NFL.
Well,
That
and
how the hell?
how much of that was guys who were banged up and didn't want to play for Adam Gase?
That's exactly right. Well, and that's what we're talking about.
I'm a little injured. I'm going to go play for this maniac. No, get me out of here.
Well, Frankie, that's the whole thing with what Saleh said in his interview down at the owners' meetings. You know, he was being asked a whole bunch of questions, and he found a way to say, hey, look, we don't have any players here that don't want to be here. We don't have guys that we overpaid to come here over another place. And then Joe Douglas backed that up with saying, hey, look, we got to the point in negotiations with people. We're being aggressive. We're right there. And it got to the point where we were being reckless. And we said no. And what does that mean? It means that they don't want to spend too much money, but it also means, why is this guy coming here? Like, if I have to give you an extra $3 million or something like, and that's the only reason you're coming, like, then don't come. Like, and that's what they're building here. Like Saleh said that everybody here is here because they want to be here. And if you look across the board to the contracts, they speak that way. I mean, Uzoma, we didn't pay him, such a large contract that he had to come here like we did with CJ Mosley a few years ago. And look, dude, both Uzoma and Conklin were courted by the Bengals. They wanted them both. They wanted Uzoma. When he left, they pivoted to Conklin. So they chose us over the Bengals, and we didn't give them $15 million a year contracts to do that. So that speaks volumes, and that's exactly what we're talking about with all of this stuff. It's like, when they don't really feel inspired to play for the team, when they twist their toe, they're going to go, no, I'm injured. But when they give a shit, when they know that their presence could mean the difference of winning and losing and getting into the playoffs, and they love their teammates and all, then they play through it. And that's the difference. We had so many more injuries. Now, a lot of them were probably legit, but a lot of them probably weren't. You know what I mean? They're just like, I could play, but why? Why? We have one win, 3 weeks left. What do I give a shit?
Guys want to play for Saleh. I mean, say what you want about Saleh. I love Coach Saleh, but guys want to play for him. They play for him. He's a player's coach, and they want to play for him. And think about how much better it's going to be next year if Zach Wilson is good. Can you imagine? Right. I mean, think about what we were able to do with a question mark at quarterback, 4-win team, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we had. And we still got CJ here. We still got Lakin here. And we still got Conklin here and DJ Reed and Jordan Whitehead. We still got those people here with a 4-win team and a question mark at quarterback. Now, right. If that question mark turns into an exclamation point, what can we do? And, all the Allen Robinsons of the world, if they see that Zach Wilson is actually good, all the Allen Robinsons of the world maybe start going, the Jets don't look so, Jets are looking a little more attractive these days.
Correct. Well, and that's the whole thing. Like, look, I'm still not convinced. I want to just make sure I say this. I don't feel that like 100% that Saleh's going to be the winning coach for us. But what Frankie's talking about is very, very real. Like, players respect this man. Players want to play for this man. You never hear anything other than that. And there have been numerous players to come out and speak volumes about that. So that's a significant difference than where we came from the last while. Like, as much as people say they love Bowles and all that, he wasn't inspiring much.
The worst you could say is that at least Saleh's not a negative. Yeah. Right. At least he's not. It's not like, oh, I got to go play for that guy. Well, if you pay me $5 million more than anybody else, all right, I'll do it.
Exactly right.
It's not that. At least, at the very least, I think it's way more than that. But at the very least, it's not that. So,
yeah, and I tend to agree with you. That's the exciting thing. Like, even when you talk about our general manager, there are lots of fans that aren't convinced yet. And I hey, that is what it is. But you have to notice the difference. Like, the Jets are at least respected out there. Like, everybody can tell. We heard it from agents. We heard it from like all over the place. How we're holding and building ourselves is completely different. Now, will it work? We don't know. But it's a completely different thing. We have guys that are universally respected around the league for the men that they are and how they do their jobs. And it's a big difference, man. And that's a good place to start for a team that was as lost as we were. We were wandering in the woods, guys, for a long time. Thomas Cahill, what's up, Thomas? Thanks for the super chat. He says, this draft is rich. Late first, early second. Trade down 10 for another first. Well, Thomas, I'd have to say with who? Who wants the 10th pick. That's the key. Like, I'm totally into it. Like another one that's been floating around this week is obviously the Saints. The Saints made that move with the Eagles. They now have 16 and I think it's 19.
19.
Right. So 16 and 19.
They wanted 4.
Right. Well, it works out perfectly. It's like that is they actually overpay my 75 points in that trade. So they have 70.
We get 16 and 19 and they get 4.
Yeah. Well, if you just look at the point spreads, the point values, well, ours is 3,000 and those two together are like 3,075. I got to look at it. So I don't know.
That's interesting because then we could still get edge at 10 and then boy, that's an interesting trade because they might want to trade up to replace Teron Armstead. That's what I'm thinking. Not quarterback. They might want Icky or Neal.
Well, who's their quarterback?
Their quarterback is Jameis Winston, and they have Andy Dalton, backing him up. Those are placeholders. Obviously placeholders, but I think they would want to get the left tackle that they love, and then next year maybe go after C.J. Stroud or the kid from Alabama.
Well, that's an interesting twist. In my mock, I forget what I did actually, but I was thinking about the Saints and what they're trying to orchestrate here because Philadelphia, from their end of that trade, it makes a ton of sense. Like they have 3 firsts this year and 1 next year. And it's like, well, this isn't, look, there's obviously good players in the draft, but it's not known as like a particularly dynamic class. It's very talent rich, and it's a lot of depth and all that. But why not have 2 this year, 2 next year? Like it makes sense from my standpoint. And the Saints, on the other hand,
plus what they did in free agency, people forget they picked up Hassan Reddick.
Right.
They had a quietly really good offseason. They don't need 3 anymore. They really just need 2. So then why not trade back, get 2 next year?
Well, there it is, like spreading it out a little bit, having everything right now. It doesn't, it's like just spread it out and keep high level people coming in and maintain this thing longer. Makes a lot of sense. But then what are the Saints doing? Are they trying to trade up? Now, look, if we did take that trade, because like I said, it's actually a 75-point overpay. So is that enough to go all the way up to 4? Maybe not. Maybe they got to throw in a 4th or something like that. Like maybe they do. Because don't forget, the team trading up is usually the aggressor. And to get somebody to move out of the top 5, you got to overpay. It's just, that's the way of the world. And, that's what goes on. So maybe we get a 4th or something. But just looking at those 2 firsts for 4 is a top 5 pick. I'm not sure if everybody knows that 4 is beneath 5 so it's a top 5 pick. So then you move out of not only top 5, the top 10, not only top 10, the top 15. So what is that worth you? You're definitely not getting a Thibodeaux, a Hutchinson, a Sauce, any of those. Like you're not getting those guys. Now, if you happen to think that the guy, the Devin Lloyds, the Nakobe Deans, the Maffe's, the whoever are on the same tier, could achieve the same goals with you, then maybe you make that move. But I don't know. I think having that top 5 pick, like I say all the time, the Jets do need their freaks. We don't have any. CJ Mosley is the closest thing to a freak we have, and he's getting older. And it's, it's just, we need those guys that take over games, and we don't have any. Quinn Williams might become that. I don't know. But top 5 is where you find those guys. So I don't know. I might need some coaxing to move out of the top 5 to go all the way back to 16 and 19, even though I'm getting 2 firsts, which would give us 3. I don't know. Does that make sense to you, Frankie? Are you totally fine with jumping all the way down there?
If they, look, they could throw in a 3rd and a 4th. Whatever it takes. Look, if they think that all they need is Ike Ekwonu, and then they're right back on their thing. The other thing with them that's weird is what about Alvin Kamara? What's going to happen with him? He had a weird incident occur, a police incident, Pro Bowl week, and nobody's talking about that. What's going to occur there? Is he going to be out for half the season? If so, I don't think you're going to be too competitive without Alvin Kamara for those games. So there's that, and then you have these bridge quarterbacks, and one of them's coming back from a serious knee injury. So I don't know. But if look, Joe Douglas is gonna get all the value he can out of any trade. That's his modus operandi. So
right. Well, so you don't think that the Saints might want to jump up and grab a Kenny Pickett, a Matt Corral, or do you think they're comfortable just waiting?
I think they're happy with Winston. Was really good last year until he got hurt. He was doing fine. Right. That ruined their whole injuries. Really ruined their whole season last year. Even Taysom Hill, when they got him, he was in and out. He couldn't stay healthy either. And now he's going to be a tight end. So that's weird. But yeah. So I think they're okay with Winston. He was doing just fine. And remember, then they had Trevor Siemian playing and Ian Book, whoever that is. So they had a lot of problems, but it was all because Winston got hurt. And then now they have a backup, Andy Dalton, who's not any good, but he's better than Trevor Siemian. I mean, he could run a team. I mean, and do okay. So as long as they probably are thinking, as long as we have our offensive line, their defense is very good. Remember, Dennis Allen's their new coach, and he was the DC for a long time. Their defense is solid. So they probably just think, well, look, all we need to do is get our line back in order. Since for whatever reason, they didn't sign Armstead, and unfortunately, he went down to Miami. Unfortunately for us,
tell me about it.
And so now they may think, well, let's get this Icky kid or Neil, whichever one they like. But I personally love Icky, and plug him in, and then we have Winston, we have Dalton for this year, and if those don't work out, then next year we go for Stroud or the Alabama kid whose name I forget.
Yeah, right. No, but okay, that makes sense. I just don't know 2 firsts to move up to get a tackle when guys like Charles Cross and Trevor Penning are more than likely going to be there. At least one of them. But I don't know if they're in love,
if they have him graded they may have him graded at a 9.5 and the other guys as an 8.5, and they may go, this is the new Armstead. Icky is the new Armstead. We need him in particular. Maybe that's my speculation.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. But, to Thomas, just to cap that, I would be totally game for trading back. I think if Malik Willis squeaks through and makes it to pick 10, I can almost assure you that there's going to be a trade back. If he makes it to 10 and we're on the clock, I'm going to tell you right now, I would put 90% odds on us trading back out of 10 if Malik Willis is there. Now, if he's not, I don't know how people view the other quarterbacks. I still think we're going to see 2 top 10 quarterbacks this year. But that'll be my own thing to hold on to until I'm right, and then I show you guys all how wrong you are. But we'll wait for that. Scott Wilson checking in. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat. He says, quick recovery, Gitmo Bob. And that reminds me, if you guys didn't hear, if you weren't here before, I have pinned in the top of the YouTube chat box that you're all communicating in. There is a link up there. Go ahead and click that link if you'd like to sign Gitmo Bob's Get Well card. I'll admit it was a little better when I didn't know he was in here. We were going to send it to him without him knowing. That was kind of the goal, but it's still beautiful, and he'll get to have it for the rest of time. And that's if you want to. By all means, just send Bob a little love letter up there. A lot of us already signed it, so the link is up there for you if you'd like to do that. I have fallen in love with the idea of the best running back in this draft in the second round. Takes a lot of pressure off of Zach, and our shiny new top 10 O-line can eat. Well, yeah, look, and we were talking about this a few minutes ago, right, Scott? But I have to agree with you. Look, I come from a different generation, right? You know this. So when I was growing up in football, and not even till that long ago, running back was considered, outside of the quarterback, the most important player on the offense for a long time. I like to use the Parcells quote when he traded for Curtis Martin. Well, he didn't trade. We signed him, and he had a first-round franchise tender on him, whatever, so we had to give him a first and a third or something along those lines. But they said, why are you willing to pay that for a running back? And he said, because a running back touches the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and wide receivers touch the ball 5 times a game. That's why I value running backs like I do. And Curtis Martin is the best running back I've ever had, or something along that. But that's the mentality that I come from. Now, I understand the devaluation of the running back position. It's really predicated or based on their their length of time that they last anymore. 5-6 years, running backs most of them seem to be puttering out rather quickly. It used to be the 30-year mark. They said, on the wrong side of 30 for running backs. Up until 30, we had a pretty good, we still were like, yeah, you still got some miles left in them. Now it seems like 5-6 years and everybody's dumping them and they're bringing in the new fresh legs. So I do understand it, but I still think that if you're going to want to run the ball, having a good running back or running back tandem is paramount. Sure, we can just get the 6th round pick and make them good. The San Francisco 49ers never draft running backs high. Joe Douglas never drafts, any team he's ever been on, they don't really draft running backs high. But this year, they just might. And why? Because we already have the tight ends. We already have the offensive line. We already have the quarterback. Sure, we need a wide receiver, but we already do have wide receivers. It seems like, hey, man, this offense could be lethal if we added a dynamic receiver and a dynamic running back. And why, if you're going to try to do that, why not just go ahead, bite the bullet, commit, and grab Breece Hall or whoever it is that you like in the 2nd round? Because like Frankie said before, of course, there might be a running back to go in the 1st, but it looks unlikely. It looks like, maybe the Bucks. I don't know. Anybody can, but I think it's more likely that in the 2nd round where we are picking, we just might get the best running back in the class. And that has value, man. That has value. Frankie, how likely do you think it is that we draft a running back in the 2nd?
Well, I think it's increasingly likely because I would want to get one of those top guys because I want guys who can do all 3 things. They need to run, they need to catch the ball, and they need to block, pass pro. I don't want to get a guy who can only do one thing out of the 3. Because then you're telegraphing to the defense what you're doing. If you get only a pass catcher, guess what? They're going to catch passes. They're not going to hand the ball off to him and that sort of thing. And if he can't block, then he can't come in on 3rd and long. And so, those sort of things. So if you get one of the top guys, one of the top 2, which is what I want, then you have a guy who can do anything and they're interchangeable. And I like the fact, and then if you have an injury, okay, then we just lean a little heavier on that guy now and it's no problem. So that's why I would say it's more and more increasingly likely that we might do that. And 2nd round seems to be the pocket. We could get the best guy in this entire draft. And that also, that just helps the running game. It helps the out in the flat drop off game, check down game. That's important. How many times did we see Ty Johnson drop a check down? Come on. And how bad is that for our quarterback when he can't even check it down? Now he can't even trust the guy in the flat. So what does that do to his mentality? I can't trust this guy. I can't trust him. I gotta try to throw the ball.
That's right. It's too important. I can't trust him, and that changes everything. Even if it gives him just a split second of hesitation, it's over. Right. And that's the thing. So last year, look, we got to give this coaching staff a mulligan to a certain extent. Let's be real. They were learning on the job. They were all in brand new positions. They're trying their tactics on players. They're thinking this guy might work out. They thought Westco could be a fullback. That didn't work. So they're trying all this different stuff. We switched to an 11 personnel, probably week 5 or 6. We finally committed to getting more of our wide receivers on the field than the tight ends and all that stuff. So there was a lot of interchanging and stuff going on last year. So talent evaluation, I think they had a nice full year to take a look at who's on their roster. Yeah. Guys like Ty Johnson. Now, Austin Walter, clearly they liked him. They like him more than Pirine, but I don't think that he's going to be on the roster either. Maybe running back 4, something like that. I think that we're going to want Michael Carter. Clearly they want Tevin Coleman for the vet presence, but I think that what they want to do is feel confident that their running game can get it done. They want to know that Zach Wilson has reliable outlets, tight ends, running backs, and like Frankie said, in the pass protection, not only was Ty Johnson dropping passes, he was getting flat out run over in pass pro. He was nothing short of a liability for most of the season back there. How he stayed in there, I don't know. I don't know. But I think that they're going to want to make upgrades there. And hey, man, I don't know. It's making sense to me too, Frankie. I feel like we might see that. We might see the Jets pull out a running back with like pick 38. I don't know if Trey McBride. So wouldn't it be funny if, even though we brought in the 2 tight ends, that we draft Trey McBride with 35 and then Breece Hall with 38? How do you think Jets fans would handle that, Frankie?
Well, that'd be okay, but we need defense. I mean,
well, we went defense in the first.
Yeah, but still, we need a lot of defense. So and don't forget, we could get a Jelani Woods in the 4th round. We could get a Charlie Kolar in the 4th round for it. We really wanted to. We could get an Isaiah Likely, who, by the way, we had in for a visit, I think today or sometime soon. Isaiah Likely came in to visit us. So they like him. He's on the radar at least a little bit, or maybe. So you could get a guy. So to me, with the roster we now have, it's less of a need. When we absolutely needed a tight end, and our room was Ryan Griffin and Trevon Wesco and Yeboah. And by the way, I believe in Yeboah.
Yeah,
I'm a believer in Yeboah. But when that was the room, then you needed a Trey McBride. Now we don't need it. It's not needed. We could still get one, but I wouldn't spend a 2nd round pick on a tight end. No, I would rather get a Jelani Woods in the 4th round, and let him develop. That kid Jelani Woods could be special, but he needs a little time to develop. So why not pick a guy like that?
Well, we're going to talk about RAS scores in a little bit, but do you know the number? I don't even know if we talked about. Yeah, you know what number Jelani Wood is? Woods?
That's what I was going to start the conversation with.
Oh, okay, then I'll leave it alone. That's for later, guys. Jelani Woods RAS score. It's like I can't even believe it's real. But that's how athletic and gifted that young man is. I keep hoping to run into him in Charlottesville. I'm like, I don't know if he's still here right now or hanging out, but
he might injure you. He's a very large man.
I'll buy him a cup of coffee. Not run into him physically.
Oh.
I don't want to run into him. I want to say hello, Jelani Woods. That's all I want to do. So, yeah, I mean, Sergeant Mike brings up an interesting point. He says, no one fears Michael Carter. Everyone fears Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. If opponents need to bring the safeties up, then Zach can pass deeply. Dude, that's what we talk about with the running game helping the passing game, right? If they fear the running game, or at minimum have to respect it, what that does is it shortens the field, as far as the defense. And Zach can start to work in totally different ways than everybody just spread out, making him beat him. So now they don't have to necessarily fear the running back. They just got to fear the running game. So I'm with you.
Right,
but Michael Carter's a damn good running back.
He is.
Second in the league in missed tackles. That's a major stat. And but I think Sergeant Mike is on to what we're talking about, which is we could use another dynamic guy there. Yeah. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2.
Yeah. And
just hit them all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Frankie, I want to talk about a very special topic here tonight. Now, I've avoided it for the most part. It comes up every now and again, but I've avoided it, and I think this is the perfect week to discuss this. And there's a lot going on around this fella right now. I even see, it's just such a fickle fan base we have here. I even see a lot more outpourings of love and support than I could find when I tried my hardest all year. And that is for our beloved wide receiver, Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims is all over everybody's lips this past week. Now, reason number one is because everybody hates him, right? That's reason number one. Everybody hates Denzel Mims. He sucks. I was on the Jets Lounge on Twitter, which is fantastic. If you guys have the opportunity to check in there, they do it like 4 times a week, 7 p.m. on Twitter. Go in there. It's great. There's sometimes 300 Jets fans in there just chatting. But there were people in there saying Denzel Mims will never be anything. He should be cut. Like that's how extreme it gets. Now, this past week, we saw Denzel Mims working out with Zach Wilson and the crew. Michael Carter was there. Elijah Moore was there. Denzel Mims. And there are some half nude pictures of Denzel Mims, Frankie. Half nude. Now, what that means is he had shorts on, right? So, but he's half nude. He's running around and he looks good. All right. He looks like he's in very, very good shape. And the word coming out of that camp is that they were working. right? These guys were working. It wasn't a hangout session. They were getting the work in. The other thing is that Joe Douglas unsolicitedly came out and praised Denzel Mims. If they weren't asking him about Denzel Mims or anything, he just started talking about him. The agent sending me workout videos, all this kind of stuff. The week prior, Frankie, Robert Saleh was also not asked about Mims, but he called him by a term of endearment. Do you know what that is, Frankie?
What was it, GreenBean?
Mimsy.
Oh, yeah.
He referred to him as Mimsy. So you don't call guys Mimsy that you're planning to cut in a week. You know what I mean? That's just, I don't know. It's some sort of imaginary line right there. But anyway, so a lot's kind of come up this past week about Denzel Mims maybe not being as washed as far as the coaching and GM and the Jets organization considers him, maybe not being as washed off to the side as maybe we thought. Now, does this mean he's going to be a starter or anything? No, of course not. But it looks like he's going to get every opportunity to fight for his place back, which I think is fantastic. Now, before I play, I got a couple clips for you guys that I want to play. I want to ask Frankie what he thinks about the potential of Denzel Mims recapturing his roster spot and having an impact on the team this year.
Well, I'm super optimistic about Denzel Mims, and as subscribers to my channel know, I'm working on a video, a tape review, film review of Mimsy in particular, where we go over and see what is going on with his wide receiver of ours, 6'3", 4.38 speed. Why can't he get the ball? Is he not running the routes properly? Is he not trying? Is he not putting on effort? What is going on? And as I've been working on this video, it should be out, I think, this weekend, hopefully. I'm going to tell you this much. It's not effort. It's not effort. And it's not attitude. He's into the game. He's putting out effort. And so that's a good thing. Now, is he making mistakes sometimes? Yes, he is. Sometimes he makes some mistakes. Yeah. Okay. But on the other hand, I'd also like to point you to another wide receiver named Amari Rodgers. Does anyone remember Amari Rodgers? Now, this is a guy who was hyped up in the draft. The Packers were thinking about taking him in the second round. They wound up taking him in the third round. And what did he do last year? Anybody know? Did he make the Pro Bowl? Did he go to the All Pros? No. He caught 20 passes, and he stunk on special teams as well. Stunk. Now, why is that important? Well, their coach and play callers named Matt LaFleur. Our play callers named Mike LaFleur. They're brothers. And we run basically the same system that the Packers run, that the 49ers run. And Amari Rodgers, hyped up guy. They were super excited to get him. Different body type than Denzel. But the point is that he could not get on the field at all for that team, even though they had plenty of injuries and they had plenty of opportunity for him to get on. And everybody thought this guy's going to do something on our team because we got plenty of opportunity for him to get on the field and play with the Packers. Well, he didn't. He caught 20 passes. Denzel caught 8. It's hard to have a worse season than Denzel had, admittedly. Admittedly, he caught 8 balls. I mean, that's very, very bad.
Yeah, but it's not great.
Not good. No,
not great.
Not great. So, but anyway, so I think, if you think about the parallels, here's Amari Rodgers coming in, a young player coming into the same system we had, which is relatively complex, and Mimsy, first year, young player in our system, didn't get with this system, and he had food poisoning and all of that. And think about his body. The thing I got out of that half naked picture when he had his shirt off. Okay, no big deal. But nonetheless, you got to see that's what Denzel is supposed to look like. That's Denzel. When I saw that picture, I said, there's my Denzel. That's Denzel Mimsy. Like, that's him. It's not this guy who lost 30 pounds because of food poisoning. That's not the Mimsy. So I said, okay, Mims looks like himself. All right. Okay. Whew.
It's nice.
So there's a lot of reason for optimism. On the other hand, now he has to do it. Now he has to do it. Got to do it.
So Eddie McGuire says, people don't hate Mims. Stop it, GreenBean. They just see him as kind of checked out. I have to disagree with you, Eddie. Now, maybe you speak for yourself and say, I don't hate Mims, but I'm just hope it looks checked out. I've had literal hour-long conversations on Twitter defending Mims to 15, 20 people who threw every single stone they could, from he's a loser to this is his last year in the NFL. Like he needs to get off the team as quick as possible. Like all those kinds of things. So I'm just giving you feedback. You know, I'm just giving you what I see. Now, just to remind you guys of what it is that Denzel Mims is, I'm going to show you a couple clips. They won't be long, but let's show you what we got here. Let's see. Is this the right one? Let me see here. Let's take a look at this one right here from my good friends at Jetnation. So this is Denzel Mims' rookie year. Some highlights for you. And let's just take a look. I'm going to keep the sound off, guys. So, Frankie, if you'd like to narrate or anything, by all means, go ahead. And I just don't want to get any, YouTube checks or anything. So here we go. Here comes Mims. Boom.
And I noticed Becton's on the field. Here's Trevon Wesco.
Yeah, look at them all. Look at that effort.
Mimsy in the flat. Look at this guy.
Look at that catch.
Nice. And we could play this kid in the slot too. Don't forget, he played about 22% of the snaps he played last year in the slot. That's a matchup nightmare. Put Mimsy in the slot. God damn it. That's a nice catch right there.
Look at this catch.
Nice
I can't stop it right, Frankie. I'm not good at this. Here. Look at that commitment.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice catch. Look at this. Get off me, buddy. Not enough. Bring more next time.
He's so talented.
He is.
I'm so optimistic about Mims. On the other hand, if he doesn't play well, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you. But I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. If he can
do so much, look how hard he is to bring down. I mean,
right.
Golly.
Look at that catch.
Oh, come on, man.
Not everybody makes this catch, guys. I just want you to know that. I suck at this. Okay, here we go.
So talented.
Here we go. Watch this catch.
I mean,
look at that. Oh, I caught it, Frankie.
Is that a 50-50 or is that a 50-50? I mean, look at that defensive back. The defensive back plays it perfectly, and Denzel beats him. Like, that's, now.
That, right. And look at the hands, though.
The NFL is not what you can do. It's what you can do over and over and over and over.
Correct.
And over and over and over again. So, but it's here. You could see the talent is here. I mean, it's here.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's actually what he's supposed to do. He's a contested catch guy. Look at this one. Oop, get out of here. Just a few more. Oh, he's trying to say, no, he didn't catch it. And the ref said, yes, he did. Yes, he did, son.
If you think Zach Wilson isn't sitting around thinking of ways to get this guy involved, I mean, Zach Wilson has to be going, this guy's a weapon. How are we not using this kid? I'm
going to try this. Look at this catch. Oh, I suck. Okay. Look at that.
I mean, a hell of a catch.
And that's what length and, this is where wingspan and arm length and fingers and all that shit comes in. He's fully extended. Great catch.
And now he's got 4.3 speed. Bye.
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, so we got to figure out a way to get this kid into the offense. I mean, we just have to. Come on. And a lot of what I saw on tape too is like Zach Wilson just going to his first, second read, and he had to get rid of it because he didn't have time. There was no time to find Mimsy. Mimsy's a long strider. It takes him a little while to get going. But so you got to protect him. I don't know, man. Look at this sequence. I mean, he can do a lot of things for you.
Yeah, he really can. And I think like whatever it was last year, it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? And then, trying to get him in or whatever, it just didn't work. But again, what I'm so disappointed with is how quickly we've all turned on him. Like, okay, something's wrong, clearly. Let's give him a chance here. Let's give him a chance. I just want you guys to see there's a lot talked about his routes and that he's lazy and everything. This was Denzel Mims 2 years ago at the Senior Bowl. It would be 3 years ago now. But here comes Mims. Let's just take a look here. And these are the Senior Bowl practices.
I mean, that's teach tape.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want there? I mean,
this is our boy.
Now he is a long strider. So one thing when you watch him on television, he's like who's that guy we used to have? Those long strider that Brad Smith.
Yeah.
Brad Smith never looked like he was trying, but he would outrun everybody. He'd be in the end zone. He's not even trying, but he was trying. He's just a long strider.
All right. Well, that's enough. But you guys see what I'm talking about. So it's nice to know, like, think about this, guys. In the event, all we do is give Denzel Mims a chance, like without being like, you got these 9 things stacked against you. Just let him come to camp and let him play. And let's see what happens. Give him just a fair shake to do whatever he can do in camp. If he can't do it, if he's lazy, if he's whatever, stupid, let's say, can't absorb the playbook, whatever it is, then it's time. Okay, man, no sweat. But giving him this chance, like Frankie said before, with the food poisoning and everything, he got behind early and he just never came back. I mean, in the beginning of the season, it was interesting because the first game, he played 3 snaps. He had one reception for 40 yards. Then he was a healthy scratch for 2 weeks. The next game, he came back and he had 3 for 36 and like 15 snaps. So it's like, and then he had another game with 2 for whatever it was. So he wasn't completely gone all year. It just fell off a cliff and looked like complete shit. But if this guy, and there's lots of reason to believe it's possible, if this guy can just be what we wanted him to be, a 2nd-round pick coming in and having an impact, that changes everything. Because if Mims was in this draft class and his combine and Senior Bowl came into this draft class, he'd be in the conversation for wide receiver 1. 6'3", 4'3", 8 catches, everything, all that stuff. So it really would be helpful. And I'm happy to hear Joe Douglas and Saleh calling him Mimsy, and I'm happy he's with Zach Wilson. And I think, was it you that made that video? Zach Wilson threw some shade at some people, kind of saying, what was that all about?
Well, somebody was saying when it was Zach put out that he's going to be working out with a small cadre of wide receivers, and he named a couple of people, and somebody said, "You didn't name Mimsy. It's a problem. It's writings on the wall." And he said, "Who do you think's in the cadre? Where we got?" Right. He's going to be there. Don't worry. and he was. And don't forget the other thing too. The guy we have him for 2 more years under contract. You know how much money he's making? 1.4 million this year, 1.7 next year. He's cheap as dirt. Like, he's not like Corey Davis. If Corey Davis has a terrible year, get upset because we're paying him a lot of money. And that guy is wasting a lot of our cap if he stinks, for example. Mimsy's dirt cheap. Okay, if he doesn't work out, it's no good because it's confusing. But then again, there's Jalen Reagor. There's countless guys. Amari Rodgers, I just talked to you about. There's countless guys who are super talented. People love in the draft. They come into the league and don't do anything. So, that happens too. And we're not paying him a ton of money. So I don't know why people would be upset with Mimsy. It's not an effort thing. I promise you that. It's not a want to. It's not he's not into it. When Zach Wilson had that big scramble. Well, you know what? Denzel Mims against Jacksonville. Remember that one down the right sideline?
Yeah.
Mims was wide open on that play. But you know what happened? We couldn't block anybody, and Zach didn't have enough time, so Zach had to escape and run downfield. And then guess what Mimsy was doing? He's blocking. He was blocking downfield. And then when Zach got in there, he was all jumping around and happy and everything. He's into it. It's not an attitude thing. That I can promise you.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like when everybody was calling him lazy and everything, Frankie, and there was that little clip that came out. There was a 10-second clip of him doing the footwork drill, and he didn't do it well. And he sucks. He's never had that knock. Like, he's never been labeled as lazy. He's never been labeled as stupid. He's never been labeled as a bad character guy, disengaged. It's not in his negatives. You know what I mean? So it was an interesting year last year. I think he's going to be our secret weapon, Frankie. That's what, if he can just come, work him in slow, we don't got to put too much pressure. Just let him play. And he will be the secret weapon.
Give me 45 catches, Denzel. Can I get 45 catches, 500 yards? That's a nice little season for wide receiver 4,
Yeah. John Amarillo says Mimsy in the slot. Right. Just like Frankie was talking about.
I love this idea because what a matchup nightmare. Now, don't forget, we played Elijah Moore is not a slot receiver. We played Elijah Moore 72% on the outside, not in the slot. And we played Mimsy even last year with his badness. We played him 22% in the slot even. And think about, I love this idea. First of all, the cornerbacks can't jam him as much. That lets him get those long legs going. And secondly, what a matchup nightmare. How are you going to match up with a 6'3" dude with hands like a bear trap in the middle of the field?
Right.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. So Eddie McGuire checks in again. He says, trade Mims for Anderson. Are you talking about Robbie Anderson? Never in a million years. Never.
Never. No, we don't want Robbie Anderson on.
No. Let me tell you something. I liked Robbie Anderson, and I liked the story. Undrafted free agent. He almost got, he did get kicked off the school football program at Temple, and he had to, work with tutors to get his grades up. So he worked, and he came up from essentially nothing. So I applaud that. I really do. And I liked having him on the team. But let's be real. The reason we wanted him so bad is because he was the only talent we had. You know what I mean? Like, Robbie Anderson is very upgradable. Now, his one trick, even though he did expand his route tree and he worked, man, you got to give it to the guy. But his one trick is that he's super fast. And it's a good trick. But other than that, you can find receivers that have significantly more impact on the game all over the place. So I don't want to go backwards and bring Robbie. I have zero interest in the Robbie Anderson thing. And I wouldn't trade Mims
now. He makes a ton of money. Paris is saying he makes 10. He just signed another deal. I think he's going to be making even more. It's a ridiculous contract. And Mims, he's sitting here making $1.50. I mean, come on, man.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. Right. I think it's 12, isn't it? Something like that.
Something like
Either way,
crazy. And Mimsy has just as much speed as anybody. Mimsy can run nine routes.
Totally.
We just got to have enough time to throw it to him.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the whole key. So, and that's why that's why we drafted Becton. That's why we drafted AVT. That's why we went out and signed Lake and Tomlinson. And that's why we signed George Fant. And hopefully we bring in another guy for the pipeline. And dude, our offensive line, don't forget, guys, it's a complex system. That was what Frankie was talking about with Amari Rodgers. It's a complex system. It's known to be a complex system. When you looked at our offensive line for the first 6 games, it was as if they had no idea who to block. I mean, they would be 3 guys on one guy and 2 guys are running in untouched at the quarterback. That was because they literally didn't know who to. They could not figure out the assignments. It's a complex system. Now, should it be that complex? There's an argument to be made that, well, maybe not. Maybe we slowly give it to them instead of starting at like level 6 here. Hey, here you go. Just bring them up slowly so the quarterback doesn't get killed. There's an argument to be made for that. But the point is that it's known to be a complex system. So now we have most of these guys, actually all of these guys, because Lake and Tomlinson played in this exact system for years. So now we have everybody here is no longer starting to learn in this system. They all know it. And that, I think, is going to be the biggest key component to initial success. If Zach Wilson gets protection, and he should, it's going to be a different ballgame. That's what's going to be exciting here. So, Frankie, speaking of RAS scores and Jelani Woods, I want to get into, I want you to talk to us a little bit about this stuff and tell us all the information that you've compiled concerning RAS scores, relative athletic scores. So let's get into your segment known as Frankie's Facts.
Frankie's Facts.
Forgot about the voice, didn't you?
That's still the best. All right. So those who don't know, relative athletic scores are measures of, players' athleticism, obviously, and it's relative to their position and size. The way I like to think about the RAS scores is if you're going to take a guy in the 4th, 5th round, if a guy slips to the 6th, 7th, we don't have a 6th or 7th round pick this year, but if a guy goes undrafted, you might want to look at their RAS score and say, that's a guy with some traits that we can work with. Okay. That was the theory last year with Jonathan Marshall. Now that didn't work out too good, but it was a worthwhile thing to do. And I think that's also why we took a guy like Jason Pinnock. They said, this guy has some explosive traits. And so they said, okay, well, for a 5th round pick, let's grab him. We could do something with this guy. So for instance, a guy like Jelani Woods, the highest you could score is a 10. Jelani Woods scored a 10. You can't be more athletic than this kid. Now, Jelani Woods, for those who don't know, he's a tight end. He's 6'7" and an eighth. So he's even bigger than 6'7", and he has 34.5-inch arms. That's good for blocking, and it also is not good for lifting weights. So one of the things on RAS, for example, is bench press, right? So if you have long arms like he does, that's long. 33, anything longer than 33 is considered long arms. He put up 24 on the bench, which for a guy with 34.5-inch arms is very impressive. That means he's strong. Okay. He ran a 4.61 40-yard dash. He did a 6.95 3-cone. Anything for a 3-cone, anything under a 7 is considered very good. This is a 6'7" dude, 253 pounds, doing a 6.95 3-cone, which measures your short area quickness. That is impressive. That is a very impressive athlete that you might, if you got him in the 5th round, you should be doing cartwheels, because I don't think you can even get him in the 5th round. But nobody, and it's only because of this that I think that he moved up in the draft, because nobody was talking. People were talking about him maybe at undrafted free agent, 7th round, but then he tested like this, and everybody said, "Wow, I can get a 6'7" tight end with 34.5-inch arms who's this athletic."
This athletic. You know who was talking about him almost 2 months ago on GreenBeanJetsfan.com's blog page? None other than Dom C was talking about Jelani Woods way ahead of the curve, everybody. So there you go. A 10, Frankie said, on the RAS score.
Yeah. So when you're talking about so you shouldn't use this to say, okay, well, now Jelani Woods is a 1st-round pick. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, that's not what we're saying. You have to combine production and other things, with it. But when you're talking about late round picks, undrafted free agents, people like that, people you want to take a flyer on late, you look at this is when this comes into play, I think. So, so I don't know. Kev Chod is talking about Jelani Woods to Kyle Pitts. Like, I don't think that's really fair to Kyle Pitts. That is.
No, I know that seems a bit much. They're very different players too. Yeah.
And Jelani Woods could develop to eventually into someone who maybe is in the same neighborhood as Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts is a stud. But then you have a guy like Zion McCallum. So I don't think anybody know Zion McCallum. So some people in the chat probably know him. He's a cornerback at a Sam Houston State. Now, Sam Houston State, anybody know where that is? I've been on that campus many, many times.
Yeah, that's Well, think about, if they thought about it for a minute, Frankie, I think they'd figure it out, right? Sam Houston State, everybody.
I don't think they would. It's north. It's north of Houston, east of Austin, 3 hours east of Austin. It's in a town called Huntsville, Texas, which is known as Prison Town because they have so many prisons there. And then they have Sam Houston State, where everybody majors in criminal justice. But anyway, this kid is 6'2" and an eighth. And he ran a 4.33 40, and he ran a 6.48 3-cone. 6.48. Remember, anything under 7 is considered excellent. This kid ran a 6.48 at 6'2" in cornerback and a 4.3 speed. So his athleticism is off the chart. A 39.5-inch vertical and an 11-foot broad jump, which measures your explosiveness in your bottom half, in your legs.
Right.
So 11. That's insane. So this guy's elite in every area. And so as Zion McCallum, somebody may go, hey, that's a 3rd-round pick. Whereas before, I don't think anybody was looking to Sam Houston State as a cornerback, university. But this may propel him because he's, a perfect 10, Zion McCallum. Then you have a guy like Leo Chenal, the linebacker. So some people think maybe we could get Leo Chenal in the 4th or 5th round. Well, no. He came in at a 9.99. So at 6'2.5, with this kid is this kid is funny. 6'2", and he put up 34 on the bench with 31-inch arms. 34. That's a very high number. This is a very strong man. And then on top of that, he ran a 4.5 40. He did a 6.98 3-cone and a 4.24 shuttle. All of that is great. He jumped a 40.5-inch vertical, which is elite, and a 10-foot broad, which is also elite. So here's a guy who is so athletic at 6'2", 250 pounds, and puts up 34 reps on the bench. Incredible.
Crazy.
So he's crazy. So he might be he's going to be a second round pick, I think.
I saw him in some recent mocks and big boards. Oops. Sorry. I saw him sneak into the back end of the first, Frankie. Can you believe it? Leo Chanel.
I can't believe it.
Crazy. It's happening.
For a team that needs a linebacker, yeah, Leo Chanel is your guy. I mean, the interesting conversation would be, do you want Nakobe Dean or do you want Leo Chanel? Everybody predominantly was wanting Nakobe Dean, but I think Nakobe Dean is slipping and this guy's rising. And Dean, mostly for his size, he's very small.
Yeah. Which is interesting because he actually feels like he's right in that pocket where Saleh seems to like them. That's my one concern with Leo Chanel. He would be the perfect energy and type of player from my standpoint for the team, Leo Chanel, but he's 260. Robert Saleh likes the 220 to 230 guys. That mold, which is Dean fits into that, which is interesting. But yeah, but his RAS score. I mean, look, and just conversely, we talk about it all the time. DK Metcalf was the last pick in the second round, and he ran a very good 40, did lots of things good. But you know what happened? He ran a 7.4 free cone. So when he did that, everybody said, oh, he's a one-trick pony. He's only a 9 route, and they let him slide. There was talk of him being a top 10 pick before that 3 cone. He ran the 3 cone, did a 7.4, and it was over for him. He made it all the way to pick 64 on one drill.
Now, I will say you can't rely only on RES. So I think anybody who dropped a guy like DK Metcalf based on his 3 cone, probably, that's not wise. So I think it's a combination of things. You use this to kind of say, does he fit the mold? And is he also, is he athletic? Does he have the traits we like? If you rely just on this and you don't look at the tape, that's foolish. Or you overly rely on this. You may like a guy and then he runs a bad 40 or he has a bad 3 cone and you drop him down. I wouldn't really do that too much. You can't rely only on this. The thing that's most important is the tape. How do you play? Are you a good player? That's number one. But this helps you, especially I think with later round picks. Now I'll give you another example. Travon Walker. Why is this guy rising up the boards? Remember, early in the draft season, nobody had Travon Walker as a top 10 pick. He was later in the first round. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying he could go first overall. They were saying Jacksonville might take this guy. Really?
I know. I'm with you. I laugh. But now, tell us why, Frankie.
Now, why is that? He gets a 999 on the RAS, 35.5-inch arms. So gigantic arms. And his wingspan is like 85 inches. So he's a monster. And then on top of that, he ran a 4.51 at 2. He's 6'5", 272 pounds. So a 4.51 at 272 pounds is insane. And he ran a 6.89 3 cone. So he's got short area burst and a 4.32 shuttle, both elite. And he jumped 35.5. And he did a broad jump over 10 feet, which are considered great.
Right.
So a 999 overall score. So that's why he's going up the board. Now, I would say that's probably a mistake. Like if you pick him first overall, that doesn't feel right to me.
But now, that's the kind of thing that teams like the Jaguars do.
Yeah. Now, he might be a good player, but if you take a good player, number 1 overall, that's probably a mistake. That guy has to be impactful from day one. He can't just be good. It's a waste of a pick. The opportunity cost is too high. So, he probably should be a mid-first round guy, but he's going to get overdrafted probably because of this RAS score. So it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah. Well, what do I say all the time, man? Like whenever I'm having these discussions with people about who to take and with, over the draft, positional value, I say, look, if you have a top 5 pick, you got to leave with a top 5 player. The position is important, but if you leave with the top 5 player, you're going to be okay. If you got a top 10 pick, leave there with a top 10 player. If you start taking swings at guys that they might not be a top 10, that's where you get into trouble. Take a top 5 player in the top 5. You have the number 1 overall pick. You take the best player in the damn draft. That's what you need to do. You need to come away with the guy who's the best. Like we took Quinnen Williams with the 3rd overall pick. Now, he's been okay. He's not been bad, but that's a top 3 pick. He's supposed to be dominating. Now, maybe he still will. He's still very young. So, I have lots of hope for Quinnen. But when we have the 3rd overall pick, you're supposed to leave with the guy who's top 3 impact. And that's the key. If you do that, you're good. Position, maybe you could have went a different position or something. But if you have a player that can be labeled as a freak later, a top 5 pick, a top 5 player and a top 5 pick, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. So, hey, Frankie, talk about your RAS score real quick. When in the very beginning, you said that later in the draft, that's kind of where you want to start including RAS scores more because they're all flyers. You're taking, big swings at guys, for one reason or another. RAS score is really important later in the draft. Isn't that what I think you said this, isn't that why we ended up taking Jonathan Marshall later, as above maybe a position of greater need?
Yeah, he had a 999 RAS score, Jonathan Marshall. Yeah. So that's a guy that you say, maybe we can develop him, and maybe he will develop. And if Jonathan Marshall developed into anything, he was a 6th round pick, or was it a 7th round? Anyway,
he was a 6th. Yeah, we didn't have a 7th.
So for a 6th round pick, if they develop into anything, a backup, a decent player, they get a second contract, that's a win for a 6th round pick. That's, so those are the guys you want to take a flyer on all day because, you figure they have the things we can't teach. I can't teach you to run a 4.3 40. I can't teach you to jump 40 inches, although you could probably, there's training you could do for that. But,
right.
But I can't grow your arm length, any longer than it is. It is what it is. So if we're going to take a guy, let's make sure he has things we can't teach and then teach him the things we can teach.
Right. So Frankie, I gotta derail this for a minute. We have huge news from Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. Wide receiver Brandon Cooks has agreed to a new 2-year deal or extension with the Texans. So Ian Rappaport even adds he's not going anywhere. So there goes that dream, everybody. One more wide receiver off the boards for us. What do you think? What's his RAS score?
Well, let me give you this. Jason from Over the Cap had this thought after hearing this news. The rebuilding of the Texans is a case study in something. I'm not sure what that something is, but it's certainly different. Which I think is hysterical. So what funny. Are they doing hanging on to Brandon Cooks? Now, I mean, obviously you could make the case, well, Davis Mills needs somebody to throw to. He's pretty cheap, relatively. We don't know the contract details, but the last year of his deal certainly was going to be cheap. So give Davis Mills somebody to throw to, but that was Jason from Over the Cap's reaction. So,
yeah. Well, look, I think the whole Brandon Cooks idea, it's like when you want to just bring in a good vet wide receiver, Brandon Cooks fits the bill. Now, is he going to change your whole offense? Maybe not. But if he's if you have some other skilled guys, and he could be a dynamic piece to an offense, man. He was the wide receiver I wanted in the 2014 draft. He was sitting right there, and we decided to take Calvin Pryor instead, which obviously worked. So we don't have to feel regretful or anything. But I think Brandon Cooks is a fantastic receiver. But I don't even think if we signed Brandon Cooks, that stops us from bringing in a wide receiver. I want to see one of these young guys from the draft come in. That's what I want. And I want Mims to do it. But I think Corey Davis is more than likely going to be the guy. Unless he has just a complete turnaround, he's probably going to be the guy that we let go next year, I would think.
It's possible. Yeah, but it's always better to, it is one of the reasons why Joe Douglas and everybody else says we're building through the draft, because you have so much control. We don't know if Deebo is going to be available. We don't know if AJ is going to be available, DK. But if you have your own guys, you have them. You can franchise them. There's so much you can do. And that's one of the reasons why you got to hit on these picks.
Right. Well, it's a funny thing. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. It was going to be funny too, I think. At least that's what I set it up to be. I don't know, but it was that. So that's RAS scores, everybody. Frankie, another great take, man. It's like the different ways that we can start to look at these things and evaluate things. And not only that, but it's being able to understand what it is that our general manager's doing. Like having different ways to appreciate and understand what it is that we're seeing before us. So we could be like, Amari Cooper, I know the name. I wanted him to fucking bring him in. What? But there are usually reasons behind this. I wanted this guy in the draft. Why did they take this guy? If you know all this stuff, or at least just have a basic understanding of it, it can really help you to start to make sense of some of the moves that are happening. That's if they even make sense. For many years, our moves didn't, because we didn't have football guys in here. We had accountants going, I like this guy. How much is that guy going to save me? Oh, good. He probably won't want a contract in 4 years. Okay, that's the guy I'm picking. That kind of stuff.
But I mean, this year, GreenBean and everyone in the chat, I'm going to be keeping track of all this crap during the draft. When people get drafted, I'm going to do videos and tell you why. I'm going to say this is their RAS score, this is their production ratio, this is their explosion percentage, this is that, and let's keep track of it. And then over time, year over year, we're going to see who works out, who doesn't, and if there's any patterns. And then it'll be even better. But we'll start our system this year, and we'll keep track. And maybe there's no correlation between RAS score and success in the NFL, and maybe we'll know that. Or maybe there's sometimes there's a correlation, sometimes there's not. There's a correlation with 3-cone. There's a correlation with this, that, the other thing. We'll keep track of all that stuff.
Right. And it'll be fun once we have more, years behind us, and with data and everything, we can look at this stuff
and then we
start to make sense of it. And we can predict
in the future. Right. This is what I'm hoping, GreenBean. I'm hoping I can predict it all. Got to have the master system. On my channel, we talk about systems over goals. The system is what gets you to your goals. And so if I can develop the master system that could allow me to predict, and I think this is what Cynthia Freeland's trying to do, really. And that's one of the reasons I'm fascinated with her, because I think she has all these computer systems where she's trying to come up with a master system. I don't think she's got it yet, but I don't know.
But that's the thing. If you can actually start to accurately predict what's going on in the future, you got yourself a job, buddy. You know what I mean? You're going to be a little coveted. So I wanted to get to Disregard Papa's super chat. He asks us, what are our thoughts on Drake? We need a big guy like him. So I think he's talking about Drake London, or is he talking about the edge rusher? Yeah, I think he's talking about Drake London. So what do you think? Is Drake? I mean, he's got that ankle injury, so I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Brugler has him as the third best in this draft. Matt Harmon has him in the top 5. So I think by all respectable professional opinions, Drake London's in the top 5 of this draft. Drake London has a first-round grade. People with first-round grades from Brugler this year are Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Drake London, Chris Olave, and Treylon Burks.
There you go. Well, I like Drake London too, and it all depends on what flavor you're looking for. If he's very different than, say, a Garrett Wilson. It all depends on, they may be equally talented, but they're very, very different games that they're going to bring. So it all depends on what you're looking for your offense. I don't think the Jets are going to draft him. If they did take a wide receiver at 10, I don't think it's Drake London. I know we've been rumored to be in love with him, but I just find it difficult. I think we would go more with the Garrett Wilson.
I mean, Jameson Williams is 6'1.5".
Mm-hmm.
So he's big anyway. And he's the fastest guy in this. Well, not the fastest guy in the draft, but fastest guy out of the top guys. So he's got the speed and he has the height. And if you're comparing him to Drake London, they both have injury concerns. So
so they're good there too.
If you're looking at that, I would probably have a preference for Jameson Williams over Drake London, because I want the speed. I want to take the top off the defense. One of the other things to look at is who else do we have on the team? So if you have Elijah Moore running his precise routes underneath and you have Corey Davis as an intermediate guy, then I want Jameson Williams taking the top off the defense. And let's stress the defense on every single level, and then wherever they fail, Zach's got to find that guy. So I like Jameson Williams because he complements our other guys as well.
Yeah, well, look, like I've said numerous times, Jameson Williams, from my perspective, is wide receiver 1 in this class. But we are the New York Jets, and we have to remember that. We can't just overlook this and pretend we're not who we are. We're the same every year with bad luck. So taking a guy who's injured, I don't know, that knocks him down for me.
But
Maybe it doesn't for the Jets.
We could do risk mitigation and take another one in the 4th round. I mean,
There you go.
That's risk.
And then another one in the 5th.
And
Make sure we're safe.
Bo Melton as a UDFA. But that's how Joe Douglas thinks. If he goes with James Williams, he obviously knows about the injury history and how he's probably going to have to miss a few games at least. And if he goes that way, maybe we take another one in the 4th round.
So I just wanted to comment. Remember, guys before were telling me that, everybody's supportive of Mims. I just wanted to put this up there. This came after we had the whole discussion. Now, I don't know if Adrian was here, and there are more. Where's another one? I saw it here. Now I got another one. He's a bust. Trey, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So when you guys think I'm nuts, these are just tastes. It's fucking late, man. I want to bring Y2K on. We didn't really get into what he was going to talk about, but he'll at least be here for the trivia. So I'm gonna bring Y2K on. It's later than I realized. Are you ready, buddy? Come on. Yeah, and I'll bring Jeremy on too. Do you feel like coming on, Jeremy? Yeah. I'm gonna bring on the two boneheads here. I'm sorry, it's late. It's like almost 10 o'clock. Holy shit, how'd that happen? I can't believe it. So as you guys know, Y2K and Jeremy do all sorts of fun stuff in the back. And Y2K, do you have a trivia for tonight, Y2K?
I do have a trivia question for the group tonight.
Awesome. All right, let's get to this super chat from V-Man. I'll throw it to you guys too. You can take a shot at this one. I did not read it yet, so let's see what it is. Hey, GreenBean, did you see Pink Floyd release a new song on YouTube? If you are to listen to the song, you have to watch the music video. No, I did not. So Pink Floyd has a new song. Like what Pink Floyd? Is it Gilmore and Mason? Is that what it is? You got to give me more, V-Man. What's the song called? Put it in the chat. So have any of you guys heard of the new Pink Floyd song?
Is it a Pink Floyd tribute band at this point? I mean, how much
probably
Pink Floyd is still in Pink Floyd,
Yeah, well, and David Gilmour has his solo project, so I don't know. I mean, they kind of put Pink Floyd to bed, and Roger Waters is doing all his stuff. I don't know. I would love to see David Gilmour and Roger Waters do something together again, but it doesn't look good. So here come all the Mims guys. Here come the anti. It felt way too supportive in here. When we were talking about Mims, I scanned the chat and I'm like, what is this? So Adrian Gutierrez, I don't know if you were here, but we gave you about 20 minutes of reasons why you are wrong. So if you want to learn, if you want to hear it, go back and watch it. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. But that's the way that went. So now as far as we all put in our mocks. Now I want you guys to know the mock, we were attempting to get it out for yesterday, but we changed the whole format. I'll never do this again, by the way. This is hard, having 5 guys mocks and try to align them with formatting and everything. It's not fun. But I wanted to talk to you guys. You guys have very different takes on the mocks. All 3 of you and Dom C, they're not as aligned as you would think. Now, Jeremy, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You don't see quarterbacks. You don't see quarterbacks going in the top? You didn't have any.
I think I
What's
had
up?
I thought I had one going 6.
Oh, to the Panthers, but nobody else. You don't think the Detroit Lions are taking a quarterback or anybody else?
No, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but it's hard to rule out your own personal decision of what you think is smart. And I just think that it's the wrong year. And I know you don't always get up that far in the draft, but it's like to be forced to reach for a quarterback in a year where I don't really like any of them. I mean, I like a little bit. Like I think obviously any quarterback, you never know who could hit, but there's no one that I fell in love with. So it's hard to get that out of your mind. You think like yourself when you're doing it. And it's just, I can't imagine using a top 3 pick on one of these quarterbacks.
Oh, I can. I think there are 2 quarterbacks at minimum in the top 10 this year. I can't wait to do my comparisons. So as far as the edge rushers, guys, Y2K, give me your edge rushers from 1 to 5. Like top to yeah.
Okay, let me think. Hutchinson, Thibodeaux, Johnson, Karlaftis, and William Mafe.
You don't have Trayvon Walker up there.
You know what? I'm not a Walker fan. I like Walker, but I think for what I want to see for the Jets, I'm not thinking that Walker's the kind of guy that I want. I'm not sold on Walker. Not impressed with him.
Yeah, how Jeremy Walker?
I think the bust potential's there. I think he could be a solid starter type of a player, but in terms of an impact, in terms of a ceiling, I think he has a pretty decent floor, but not a very high ceiling.
Yeah. You know what? That's funny. I think just like Frankie was talking about, there's talk of him going 1 overall, or if not that, in the top 3. I would applaud it. Applaud, because I want my guys to slide down. Jeremy, edge rushers, is Trayvon Walker up there for you, or are you buying the hype, or what's up?
Definitely not for us. I don't think so. But it's hard for me because I don't look at it from the perspective of if we had a 3-4 defense. If we had a 3-4 defense, maybe I would look and be more into him and more excited about him. But in a 4-3, I just don't see him being the right fit for us. And I don't know. I didn't have anybody being overly excited about him. I just think that at the end of the day, there's some edges that are going to go before him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, he outside linebacker in a 3-4 kind of, he might have more impact out there, but I'm telling you, I even broke down, I went in and watched a whole bunch more of Trayvon Walker, and I see the athleticism, but I'm not loving this guy. I don't know what anybody's talking about. It's got to be on metrics and measurables. I mean, he has his plays, of course, but I don't know. I think he gets stopped dead in his tracks often. And I don't know. It's not the guy I want to hang our big edge rusher hat on. I want somebody to come in here and dominate. But let me ask you guys this. My prediction is that the Jets end up taking Thibodeaux. I know I put somebody else in the draft, but my real life prediction is Thibodeaux. Do you think that's real? Do you think it's good? Frankie, what do you think?
Boy, it's hard to know. I mean, think about, I don't know what they think about these effort questions. So the thing about Thibodeaux, he has great production. He has good physical traits, all of that. But the scouts are saying that you look at his tape and he has effort, consistency issues. And does that really comport with what Saleh wants? So Saleh, we found out this week, I did a video on this. He loves Nathan Shepard, and we figured out why. Well, he calls him the king of strain, like that old Police song, King of Pain. Remember that? Well, Nathan Shepard is the king of strain, and that's why he loves Nathan Shepard, and that's why Nathan Shepard is still on our team. So is a guy who has effort issues, if that's true, if that the Jets believe that's the case, is that the kind of guy we want on our team? So I'm not sure about that. As opposed to a kid like Jermaine Johnson, nobody's going to tell you Jermaine Johnson has an effort issue. I don't think. I think that kid's shot out of a cannon.
Well, and he had 17 sacks last year or so. So I don't know. Watsy, what do you think about taking Thibodeaux? Do you think it's real? Number one, you think he's going to be there? And number two, would you is that a good idea? Would you do it? Or you think, like Frankie, there are some concerns?
Right now, if I had a bet on the Jets taking one player in the first round, it would be Kayvon Thibodeaux. If I had to put my money on one player going to the Jets first round, it's Thibodeaux. I think they love the intangibles. I think that he led the country in pressure rate. Jeremy and I talked about this last night. I mean, it's not just sacks. It's, are you making impact plays? Are you knocking a ball down? Are you batting down the pass? Are you are you causing a turnover? Those types of things. And the fact that they've interviewed him now on multiple occasions, it hasn't just been one visit. I think they've had 3 visits with Thibodeaux. They are doing the absolute due diligence on this guy. They are going to leave no stone unturned to make sure they have as thorough and complete an evaluation of this kid as possible. Because what this tells me is they're in love with his talent, but they want to make sure they know the man.
I think you're right. I really do. You know what they're going to do, Y2K? They're going to bring him to Scores in the city and see if he loses his cool at a strip club in New York. That's what they wanted. Hey, let's let off some steam, Thibodeaux. Come on into Scores. Let's hang out. And they'll know in about a half hour what he's made of. And they're going to go, you know what? We can't draft him. Why can't you draft Thibodeaux? He didn't handle Scores very well. We can't bring him on.
If that was they wouldn't have drafted like Lawrence Taylor because he would have brought the club that night. Yeah,
that's the truth. So Jeremy, Thibodeaux, where are you with this guy? Number one, you think he's going to be there? You think this is all hype? He's still going first overall kind of thing? Or if he's there, you think it's a good idea that we take him, or where do you stand on that?
I really hope he's there. So here's what we don't know. Which scouts are saying this, because I watch this team play every week practically. I live in California. I watch them weekly. I know somebody who was in the Rose Bowl and has his Rose Bowl ring, who played tight ends. I go to his wife's barn. I've sat with him and watched them play. I've never noticed him taking a play off. None of the fans. The bar is packed with Ducks fans, and nobody's ever yelled or complained that he doesn't look like he's hustling. What I think it's going to come down to is JD's not going to pass on him because of what he heard some scouts said. He's going to base on what his scouts saw. So he's like, I don't know if he's looking at tape that proves or makes it look like he's giving up on plays, then maybe we don't take him. I've never seen it. I've asked people on Twitter. I asked people everywhere. Please send me a link to a game and tell me at what point in the game or what tape you have that shows this guy taking a play off, because all I saw was a dominating edge week after week after week. And the only time he didn't dominate the game is when the opposing offense designed their offense to stop him.
Yeah. And the good news with that is we'll have Carl Lawson on the other side, so you can't design it away from us. Now, what do you think of this? Paris writes in, he could see Carl Lawson working close to Thibodeaux. Now, we saw last year in training camp and preseason, Carl Lawson was an amazingly positive figure on the defense. He would numerous times the guys would gather around him, and he was the guy talking, like building people up. He was on one Jets drive. He pulled Jared Davis aside and kind of yelled at him and said, "We can't do that. That's not what we do." Some shit. I don't know what it was about specifically, but he kind of got onto him. And Jared Davis was like, "Yes, sir." Like, that's how he talked to Carl Lawson. So having a guy like Carl Lawson, if he actually can stay on the damn team and not be in the hospital, I think he would be good. You think that would be a good, you think that would be enough to calm Thibodeaux down, Frankie? Like, what do you think? Do you think Carl Lawson and Thibodeaux, whatever character concerns, would that be enough?
Well, I think anyone that we get is going to go right under the wing of Carl Lawson. So that's another benefit that we have. And anybody who's smart will just soak up the knowledge of Carl Lawson, because he's like a professor of of pass rush. So whoever it is, whether it's KT, JJ, whoever we get, they'd be smart to listen. So, and I think they will. Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I like it too. So, all right, what we're going to do tonight is this. We are going to do a trivia question. And then if you guys want to hang out, I'm going to hang out for a little while. I'm going to start. I'm going to do 1 hour and 45 minutes of Denzel Mims clips for you guys, if you want to do that. But let's get into some trivia, and we'll see if Wat2K can actually not stump us this week, and we'll see if what we do. I feel good about tonight, guys. The chat is feeling frisky, and I think they're going to get this trivia question. So let's do it, man. Let's get into this, Wat2K.
All right. Well, welcome to our weekly trivia segment. Now, in the upcoming draft, obviously the Jets are going to be looking for some cornerstone players, some players they can build their franchise around, players that will be with this franchise for many, many years to come. But did you know, in the illustrious history of this franchise, of all the first-round draft picks the Jets have had, only 9 have played at least 10 years with the Jets? Your job, name those 9 players.
Holy shit. All right, guys. So there's the question. Out of all of our first-round draft picks that we've taken a swing on, and since 1960, only 9 have actually made it to have a 10-year career with us. So who is it? I know one off the top of my head. That's Sean Ellis.
Okay. Yep. Sean Ellis.
I know another one. Brian Thomas is another.
Very good. Very good.
Let's see. Frankie, what do you got? You got any guys here?
No, I don't know.
It's not Sanchez.
Frankie, I really tried to get you involved on this one. I really tried, man.
I would have to say trivia is not my speciality. Let's just say that.
But you can name some pretty good Jets over the years. I'm confident. I believe in you.
Young Capo's got one. That is Nick Mangold, and that will bring the next one, like Deli said. That's Mangold and Brick.
Yep, very good.
So Rugg says Jordan. Who's Jordan? Jordan Leggett?
Lamont Jordan, I think, is who he means.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick and was here for, I think, 3 years, I think. Al Toon didn't make it 10 years, did he? He was like 8 years old. Maybe he was 10 years. 8, yeah, right?
Yep. Don Maynard's no, we did not. And Owen, we did not draft Curtis Martin. So it is not Curtis Martin. Lance Mel didn't. Yeah, Lance Mel had a bad knee injury that finished his career.
All right.
Mike Mel said Jason Ferguson. That's a good guess, but that is not correct.
Because he's a 7th-round pick.
And Joe Klecko was not a first-round pick. He was picked really late from Temple.
So Marty Lyons.
Marty Lyons, very good. He played 11 years.
Nice. Now, help us out a little bit. The remaining guys, what era?
Let's see. All of these guys are somewhere between, I would say, you have to go back at least 20 years, which would make sense. But you've got one from, let's say, the 60s, one from around the 70s, one from the 80s, and one, we'll say, the 90s.
I don't think Freeman McNeil had a full 10-year career, but did he?
12 years, my friend.
Wow.
Yep.
There you go, Paris. That's a good one.
Yep.
Crabette. That's funny. He was an undrafted free agent. I don't even think he was an undrafted free agent. He was a walk-on. He just showed up.
Yep.
He's like, I'd like to play here, please.
And somebody mentioned Marvin Powell. Marvin Powell made it 9 years. So very close, but no cigar.
What about Joe Namath?
There you go.
Holy shit, Michael. Michael,
Joe Namath. There you go.
Oh, my God. So Drupacabra says Marvin Jones.
That's correct as well. He made it 10 years. That's 8.
That's 8. We need one more.
You need one more. And this guy played for the Jets for 12 years.
Whoa.
I want to say Mo Lewis, but he was a 3rd.
Yes, Kyle Wilson. That's correct. It felt like 12 years watching that.
Yeah, oh, my God. 12 years all in one.
Yep.
Friggle D says Jeff Lageman. Could it possibly be Jeff Lageman?
No, he went to Jacksonville pretty quickly in the expansion draft. He made it like 5 years.
Yeah. All right. What era?
Jason Wilkes said Ken O'Brien. Ken O'Brien was one of those 9-year players. 9
Oh,
years.
wow. Okay.
And another guy who might come up is Matt Snell. Matt Snell also played 9 years. There's one other Jet, and I haven't seen his name yet.
Chad wasn't here 10 years, was he?
Who?
2000 to 2009?
Who?
2008. Chad Pennington. He was 8 years.
Unfortunately, no. Chad wasn't here long enough, no.
Owen says, how many more do we need? We need one more, Owen.
More.
David Harris was a 2nd-round pick, Owen.
That's right. David Harris was 2nd round. Yep. I was thinking, you had me thinking about that for a second, but yeah.
The Liama says George Karlaftis. He's using Frankie's predictor in the future. He's saying George Karlaftis will be a 10-year Jet.
Yeah. And again, 1st-round picks, guys. 1st-round picks.
Yeah. Pat Leahy wasn't a 1st-round pick. So I'm trying to, was it Mickey Schuler?
It was not Mickey Schuler.
Guys, we got to get this. Jeremy, help us.
Jeremy and Frankie, I think, are on mute.
No, I'm not on mute. I'm just horrible at trivia.
Yeah, I'm not good either.
Too many years mixed up. Players.
I'm watching.
What about Marvin Jones?
Closely, Chad. I'm watching. You guys can do this.
What about Marvin Jones?
Marvin Jones was already mentioned. He made it 10 years.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Is it Mark? No, Mark Gastineau didn't play 10 years for us.
No.
Wasn't he a 2nd-round pick? Or was he? I think he was a 2nd-round pick, too. Gastineau.
Yeah,
James Hasty.
Gastineau was a 2nd-round pick.
Hasty went to Kansas
Yeah.
City.
Not James Hasty. No. I saw Eric. Yeah.
Lance Mel
was not a 1st-round pick, Mark.
All right. Well, I think it's pretty official. I mean, I was going to let this go on a little while and say that we got it, but I don't think I can do that anymore. Who's the last one, Watsuke? It's not D. Milliner.
Not seeing it. Not D. Milliner, and no, not Dimitri Patterson, Stud City. That was a good attempt. The correct answer is Jerome Barkham. 12 years as a Jet.
12 years as a Jet, Jerome Barkham. So give us the full list again, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So the guys who played 12 years: Joe Namath, Jerome Barkham, Freeman McNeil. 11 years was Marty Lyons, Brian Thomas. Good job getting that as quickly as you did, and Nick Mangold. 10 years was Marvin Jones, Sean Ellis, and DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Wow. So how does that make us feel? How are we supposed to feel? Because the list is kind of nice, but that's out of 45 Well, how many years? 60, 40, 50, 62 years, 61 years. 9 players out of 61 years. No, not even 9 players, 9 years. We've had numerous drafts with more than one first round pick, too. So, I mean, think about our vaunted 2000 class. One of those guys made it 10 years with the Jets. One.
Yep. Chad made it 8, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Beck was like, what, 6?
Abraham should have made it 10. Yeah, he should have made it 10 years, but unfortunately that didn't work out.
Crazy. So good stuff. Hey, chat. Once again, FOC said from his records, he's right here. He says, according to my records, we've gotten every trivia question right on the first shot. Granted, his records have known to be not so good in the past. So, well, thank you, Y2K. Another good one, man. I thought we were going to have that one, especially the way we started. I started and gave us 2 right off the bat. I thought we were going to roll from there, but we didn't. So V-Man checks in. We're going to get this super chats done. Hey, rise up. It features a Ukrainian musician currently serving in Ukraine's army who sang a traditional folk song from World War I. Ooh. So that's the Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd song. Hey, rise up. Well, that would be something that I could see motivating Pink Floyd to come out and make a song, something like a war. They're very politically focused. For forever, they've been politically focused. So that would be interesting. Well, thank you, V-Man. I appreciate that. I'm going to check that out right after the show. And I saw another super chat here. Let's see here. There it is. Oh, V-Man again. Look at V-Man tonight. Thanks, buddy. He says, you missed my super chat with the answer. Well, V-Man, you got to give me a second there, buddy. You got to give me a sec. I promise I'll get to it. I got Jeremy here making sure I don't miss it. So, but I'm sorry you thought I missed it, because that's not a good feeling. I don't want you guys to ever feel like that. So, but thank you, V-Man. I appreciate the super chat. RJ checks in. RJ MacPot 720. He says, Flash Gordon. That's right. Well, Frankie, how long did Flash Gordon play for the Jets? Do you know?
Well, I know he was a reliever for the Red Sox, and then he played for the Yankees, and he threw a great curveball. So I think that might be a different guy.
I'm thinking it might. Flash Gordon, as we know from the superhero comics, Flash Gordon, he went and fought Ming the Merciless to save Earth, but he was the quarterback of the New York Jets. I don't know why. That's like, what a crazy thing. I mean, that's like one of these little nuggets we have out there. Flash Gordon was a Jet quarterback. So, but yeah, that was a good one, man. I appreciate the chat, but I'm going to hang out. So I want to see, you guys want to hang out? Does anybody have to go?
No.
You guys good?
I can hang for a bit.
All right, good. So then what is the next topic, Frankie? What is it that we must discuss this week that we got to make sure we don't leave this show without saying?
Well, I think I was doing a little bit of research because Jeremy was kind of convincing me on Kayvon Thibodeaux with his impassioned plea for KT.
It happens.
And so I did a little bit of research, and I want to say that in addition to Jeremy, which is also one good source of information, but another good source of information is Joe Blewett of Jets X Factor, and Joe Blewett is also a fan of Kayvon Thibodeaux. So I went to Jets X Factor and checked it out and said, well, there's got to be a video by Joe Blewett on KT. And what is it all about? And it turns out Joe Blewett, this is the headline. Kayvon Thibodeaux is the physical freak the Jets need.
Ooh, freak. You heard me say it. That's all I want.
So I don't know. Between Jeremy and Joe Blewett, that's a pretty convincing, push of evidence that maybe maybe it is KT at 4.
Right. Well, look, you know what I think, and you guys can tell me what you think of my thoughts here. I think that Joe Douglas and the Jets might be behind some of the negative press out there for Kayvon Thibodeaux.
Chess.
That's
Joe
what I
Douglas
think.
Is playing the media like a fiddle.
Yeah,
he's pumping up.
This starts like a day, 2-3 days before it begins. In this case, it started like 2 months before.
Well,
next thing you know, you're going to see pictures of Kayvon Thibodeaux wearing a mask and smoking marijuana.
That's okay nowadays. They don't care anymore. Now you gotta.
Scary.
Yeah. But I think that he's behind the Trayvon Walker hype too. I think this is all Joe Douglas. That's what I think.
Maybe
think I'm
so.
on to something.
I mean, Daniel Jeremiah, a lot of my, so I listen to Daniel Jeremiah a lot. He says that there's a lot of discussion among NFL defensive line coaches about Trayvon Walker. They're enamored of him. They're watching him on tape and they like all the traits he has. So if the defensive line coaches are getting excited about the kid, you got to put some stock in that. But that's according to Daniel Jeremiah. So that's one source of information.
But you know what I think with coaches? This is why scouts are so important. Like coaches, like Rex Ryan, for example, he sees the football player, like, you know what I mean? He thinks like if there is something that's maybe lacking or they look at the football player and they say, I can get it out of him. That's my chunk of clay. That's all I need. But we have years of watching him and he's not all that good. Now, not to say he's not good. I'm talking about Trayvon Walker being considered the top edge rusher in the class or even the top 3. I don't see it. But so
now I have the beast, the draft guy by Brugler. Dane Brugler has Trayvon Walker 2nd and Thibodeaux 3rd. So I mean, and Hutchinson 1st. But that's Dane Brugler. I don't know,
It's all part of the Joe Douglas. That's all it is. This is Joe Douglas is so connected. This is what's going on. I'm telling you that there's going to be a book in 15 years after we have a dynasty. They're going to find out that Joe Douglas literally created this dynasty by having his people placed everywhere around the NFL circle so he can get anything he wanted done. That's what we're going to find out. So I don't know. Maybe not, but I think it's possible. Okay. V-Man checks in with another super chat. He says, Y2K, I think he's talking about you, Y2K. Y2K Jets trivia. What Jets quarterback holds the team's single season rushing record for quarterbacks? That's Zach Wilson.
Questions around here, V-Man. What do you think you're doing?
Right. What are you trying to take his job, V-Man? Can't do that. Does anybody know?
Contract locked in, and it's with guaranteed money. So
I think. Well, Zach Wilson had the longest rush this year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did that sideline run that did go pretty long. Because looking back, we didn't exactly have the most mobile quarterbacks. I mean, who would we have? Geno. I mean, for 1 year. I mean, Michael Vick didn't play long enough. And then we had, Sanchez wasn't mobile. Then we had Fitzpatrick, McCown. Sam wasn't really a runner. He just had the one great run in Denver night game. I would not be shocked if it was Zach. And if not, he's got to be top 2 or top 3. I think it very well could be Zach.
I think you're disrespecting Chad Pennington. I mean, come on. The man could
disrespect my guy.
Man could gain 1.5 yards per game.
And it adds up.
Per game.
It adds up. It adds up. Well, who else could it be? And we don't have very many rushing quarterbacks.
Todd, O'Brien, Robinson, Pat Ryan, Boomer Esiason. It can't be Neil O'Donnell.
Sanchez had a little bit of a scamper in him, didn't he? Maybe. I don't know.
Like one a game, maybe. I really think it's Wilson.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe V-Man will tell us.
I like Derek Friend saying Brad Smith, though. That's a very creative answer. Oh, Ray Lucas from Friggle D. Ray Lucas isn't a bad answer. He only played half the season, though. Whereas Zach played, 11, 12 games this year? 12 games, I think. 12 or 13. So.
Yeah, well, that's good because I think Zach needed that little break anyway. I look at everything from year one as a positive. Everything. Even the injuries. We had to get them all in now. We got them all done. Everybody's done with their injuries. Everybody wants to know what it feels like to get the surgery and do the whole rehab. It's all done now. We got it all out of our system. Saleh got his first year. LaFleur got his first year. Zach got his first year. Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, AVT. Everybody did it. Now we're ready to play some football. We're going to add guys like a Kayvon Thibodeaux, maybe a Sauce Gardner, maybe a Garrett Wilson, maybe a Devin Lloyd. We don't know, but we're going to be stacking. Then we're going to use the second round and get another tight end and a running back. That'll make Jets fans really happy, I believe. They'll be freaking out.
Yeah, they're like Rob and Nick Shine. They're yelling Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I
For what?
I don't know if they're just trying to be cute.
Oh, maybe though. I don't know. He had a fucking amazing year that year. He broke all of our other records. I wouldn't be surprised if he did
I
that.
can't remember too many famous runs that he had during that 2015 season, though.
No, me neither. But I wouldn't be surprised. It was like out of nowhere, this guy just comes in and breaks all our records, and just to show us how embarrassing we really have been over the years. So Garrett Starnes checks in. Frankie, I'm going to need help here, or maybe Jeremy. CC Ryder is better than Flash Gordon. Who's CC Ryder? Does anybody know?
Nope.
No, you don't know? CC Ryder, Wiki. Let me see. I don't know who that is.
With Flash Gordon.
Is it a musician?
I was just thinking it was somebody. Was it somebody who played a jet in a movie? Because like
Well,
Flash Gordon.
I've got CC Ryder cart rentals in Cape Charles, Virginia.
Yeah, well, I got something. It says Joe Namath, CC Ryder. So I don't know.
Like
I think it's a song.
hero?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, Garrett. You stumped us again, even though I don't think it was designed to be trivia. We're stumped. We don't know. Ablab Studios checks in. He says, I have David Gilmour's Benson Ekerek. What is this? You guys I feel like you guys might be talking another language tonight. And I love David Gilmour. I don't know what that is. Benson Ekerek. Yeah, look at that. Let me see what it is. Oh, that's an effects pedal. Oh, nice. So do you have his tones and stuff, Ablab? You got all the Gilmour tones? Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love that. That's super cool. All right, let's get to the next one. So Wild Billy Boy, thank you for the super chat, my friend. He says, coming in late, but my gut feeling is wide receiver this year. If going to the cornerback of last year, where we all said we needed one, if Sauce falls to 10 and decide to get a top tier cornerback, or who else you got in the cornerback room is full of depth. Let me Wild Billy Boy, I got to read this again. All right. All right, it's coming in late. That much I understand. He says, but my gut feeling is wide receiver this year is going to be the cornerback of last year. So he thinks we're going to bring in a bunch of cornerbacks. Is that wide receivers like we did cornerbacks? Where we all said we needed one. If Sauce falls to 10 and we decide to get a top tier cornerback, or who else you got in the cornerback room is full of depth. Wild Billy Boy. Frankie, what do you think of this one? You make heads or tails out of it?
Well, I think I really would like to know if Bryce Hall can play the slot. That's what I want to know. Because if not, then I'm got to put him on the trading block. Maybe we could get Deontay Johnson. Maybe we could get, I don't know, somebody. But otherwise, he's just going to sit there on the bench. I have a hard problem with a starting caliber cornerback on the bench. That's too valuable. Teams need cornerbacks. We're going to sit him on the bench?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. But I would prefer to just get another player at another position. Like we're talking about top 10 picks. We have a 5 pick and a 10 pick. Using that to bring in a cornerback and then hopefully trade the cornerback you have. That seems like a lot of shuffleage for me when we can just get an edge rusher. You know what I'm saying? That's what it means. But as far as bringing in more wide receivers, it's interesting. You know, Jeremy, what do you think as far as bringing in more than one wide receivers? Lots of Jets fans think that we're bringing in 2. I've seen at 10 and 35 wide receivers. I've seen 10, 35, 111 wide receivers. Like people really think we're going to bring in 3 or 2. Do you see that? Or you think we're just going to bring one in and move on?
I think there's a chance we bring in 2, but we're not going to use high draft capital on 2. My opinion is we'll use either the 10 people are right or a second rounder. And then maybe in the fourth or fifth, revisit and grab somebody that we love if they're there, if there's value. Like if it's just too good value to pass up. But I don't expect it.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to be 1. I'm expecting 1 wide receiver in the top 4 picks, and then not the first pick, but the top 4, like 2, 3, or 4 in our order. And then I wouldn't expect it, but I wouldn't be shocked if in a late round they took some of the guys that we like and we found, if they have their own like hidden gem that they like.
Kyle Phillips, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Frankie, realistically, do you see us taking more than 1 wide receiver in this draft?
Well, yeah, heck yeah. Why not?
You do.
I mean, why not take a 5th? Take one in the 5th. I mean, it's so deep. Just take a guy. I mean, we need depth. I don't want Jeff Smith catching passes.
Jeff Smith.
I don't want Jeff Smith trying to catch passes. I've been watching some of the film from the games last year. Zach Wilson's hitting Jeff Smith in the hands. He's wide open, and it's in his hands. Catch the freaking thing, Jeff Smith. And so, we need depth. Even if they're inactive most of the time, at the end of the year, there's going to be people injured, and you don't want Jeff Smith and DJ Montgomery coming in. You don't.
I agree. I like it. I like what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
If we're going to do that, so like Jeremy said, like in the 5th, you're on the same page. Like, so we grab one, let's say we grab one at 10, and then you see a guy has some potential, high RAS score in the 5th.
Even if it's Bo Melton. A guy like Bo Melton can help you on kick returns. He can do punt returns if Braxton's out. He can help you. He can do a jet sweep. He's fast as hell. So, even if you grab a guy like that who can't do everything, he could do something. He can help. As opposed to DJ Montgomery. What can DJ Montgomery do? I mean, Jeff Smith was literally, the ball was he was wide open, and he's dropping. Like, why are you on the field then if you can't do that?
Right. And that's what people are saying about Mims. So we had Tariq Black and DJ Montgomery and Jeff Smith dropping shit, and Denzel Mims is standing on the sideline. So I do understand what people are talking about.
Yeah.
But so, before Y2K, I want to say this too. So I wanted to ask you guys, as far as the wide receivers. So I'll start with you, Y2K. The wide receivers in this draft for the Jets, best to worst.
Best to worst. Okay. Sorry. So I gotta get the names in my mind. At this point, and I feel like my thoughts on wide receiver changes more than any other position in terms of who I really want. But right now, I think I'm Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson. I know I'm already offending a few people because I haven't mentioned a certain receiver with a British sound. But then I would probably go Treylon Burks, then Drake London, Chris Olave. Honestly, I haven't seen enough of George Pickens to form an opinion on him. And then same thing with Alec Pierce. It seems like Alec Pierce has a few fans, but the few people who like Alec Pierce are in love with him. He has this loyal, intense cult following. And after that, I'd probably go Christian Watson. So I think
Christian
for a while,
Watson.
For a while, Wilson was my number one guy, but at this point, I'm starting to feel more and more confident about Jameson Williams. As wary as I am of taking a player who's had an injury issue, it's not necessarily a pattern with him like it is for, say, a Derek Stingley, for instance. So I think Williams, when healthy, might be the best possible package that we could take. So,
well, but what is it that's everybody's starting to feel more comfortable? Is it because he put out that video doing the hopscotch? Is that what it is?
Yeah, just
like I'm being serious. Yeah,
the 4 to the 8, and he was able to skip the beanbag. It was just very.
Yeah, he picked up the jacks. He was like, I mean, look, it's good to see him moving, right? I mean, that's good. I'm with it.
He was going to miss half the season. From what I heard, it was going to be late October, early November, and I'm like,
yeah,
can we afford to do that? But from what we're starting to hear now, it could be he may be ready for preseason, and if he is, then you know what? Even if he isn't all the way there to start the season, you're betting on the upside, and I would want that Wilson to Williams connection. I mean, that could go 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I like that idea. Real quick, V-Man just letting us know that the quarterback with the greatest rushing career with the Jets, Al Daro, 1960, 453 yards. It hasn't changed since 1960. Well, okay. Yeah, we haven't made it we haven't really gone that hard at the mobile quarterbacks over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Frankie, please do me a favor and shame V-Man the way you usually shame me when I drop a Titans reference. That would make me feel much better right about now.
Well, I mean, he was just saying what it was. And the way I see that's a low bar for Zach Wilson. Hey,
that's his low. Right.
Yeah. Well, here's a record you can get, Zach.
What did he say? What did he say it was that Al had?
400.
Yeah, Zach, dude, he got 90 or whatever it was yards on one run. Yeah. I think that's a great point, Frankie. I think that's exactly what's happening. Zach Wilson is not only going to develop into one of our best aerial assault quarterbacks, but he's also going to be able to steal that 40 or 62-year-old record of 453 yards.
And especially look what Hawk is saying in the chat, right? And I'm gonna give you the opposing opinion, Hawk, because we're gonna have so many weapons. Their defense is gonna have to be in man-to-man. When they're in man-to-man, nobody's spying Wilson. Wilson's gonna spin out, and there he goes down the sideline for a touchdown. Hawk. That's what I'm talking about.
See, and you know what's going to be real funny is that Denzel Mims is going to be down there leveling people, blocking for him.
Yeah, knocking two cornerbacks out with one block.
That's what I'm talking about. So, New York Jets fan. Wait, New York to Florida. New York to Florida. Yeah, Jets fan.
New York, Florida.
New York to Florida. Jets. There it is. I got it. He moved. That's all that is. He moved from New York to Florida, like so many before you have moved to Florida. He says, I've owned a Namath, a Harper, a Crabette, a Vilma, a Mangold, and Revis jerseys. Who's his next jersey? Jeremy, you get crack at this. First crack. What do you got? What's the next jersey New York to Florida should be buying for himself?
Oh, man.
Come on.
I'm going to say Elijah Moore.
That's a good one. Frankie, what do you think?
Velus Jones Jr.
Wild Goose. There it is. Y2K, what do you got for New York to Florida? If he's going to go out and listen to our words, what would you advise him to do?
I guess my question is, do you want to go with a past jersey or a current player's jersey? If you're going current, I would invest in Elijah Vera Tucker. There's something about a hyphenated name on the back of the jersey that just gives it that cool factor. I think it makes it look a little extra tough with the 75. I think that's a good number with Vera Tucker. I think it looks good. I'm not a big fan of. That's the thing with these jerseys. If you're getting a new one of the new Jets jerseys, and we're not going to get in a whole debate. They're great. They suck. Whatever. But I don't like the way some of the numbers look. Like the one, it just looks like the big small L. I kind of like when it has like the little detail on it, whatever the term is for it. So, but like the 7 and the 5, I think that's a good looking jersey, but I wouldn't want like a Denzel Mims jersey because it's number 11. And I just,
it looks bad. I don't like the 11 out of these jerseys too. It's very weird. It just looks boring. It's like they should have fixed the 1 somehow, made it more interesting.
Yeah. So AVT, that's what I do.
AVT. I think that's a good one. Now, Frankie's, I kind of like where he's going with Velus Jones a little bit, but I'm going to change it. And I am going to say whoever our first pick in the draft is, because this organization is going to be investing big time in that player, whoever it is, if it's Sauce Gardner, if it's Thibodeaux, if it's Hutchinson, if it's Karlaftis, doesn't matter who it is, that's the jersey, because they're going to want him to be the goods. And you can always get a Zach Wilson. But I would say whoever the our first round pick is, go ahead and get that guy's jersey. It's going to be a good one.
If you want to know who's the best bet, it's Elijah Moore. I mean, if you want to know who's the best bet to have a really nice career, it's Elijah
Not
Moore.
Velus Jones?
Velus Jones is a long shot, but Elijah Moore is the good.
But what I was going to say was, if the Jets were to get Sauce Gardner, know what I would do? Cost a few more dollars, but I would customize the jersey and I would have it say Sauce on the back instead of Gardner.
Yeah,
I want to say
Sauce.
Who's to say it won't?
I like that.
They should definitely do that.
That's a good idea, actually, right? I think that's the way they would be missing.
He has a necklace that says
a brand.
Sauce.
It's like a whole.
They would be missing the opportunity if they didn't make a jersey. Whoever drafts them, and that doesn't say Sauce on the back. That's the way it's got to be.
Genius.
I want to take a second. Gitmo Bob is saying goodnight. He hung out with us all night. So I'm glad, man. Maybe we were able to distract you for a little while, hopefully. And in any way that we can help, I hope that we did. And thanks for hanging out, Gitmo Bob. And again, we're all happy that you made it through surgery and that you're here with us. Again, guys, if you'd like to sign a Get Well card for Gitmo Bob, the link is in the top of the the top of the chat. Go ahead, click the link, sign it, and you're done. No requirements. You don't have to, but if you want to, it's available for you. Good nighty night, Gitmo Bob. Stanley Spector checks in with the super chat. He says Namath would sit between Barkham and Castor. Cosell would always point that out. What did they mean by that? What was that's just who he sat between? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not really Cosell.
Markham was part of the trivia, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. So so it was like no matter what, he always ended up sitting between the same two guys, huh? I wonder what that was.
He's sitting between Rich Casta and Jerome
and Bacham. Yeah. Howard Cosell. Remember that guy?
Yes,
I grew up listening to Howard Cosell.
Remember my imitation of him during the
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. Lay it on us.
Elijah Moore, a player for the ages, a man who doesn't know the word quit.
I like it. That was good.
Like Billy Crystal's impression of Howard Cosell.
Oh, yeah. I think it's good. Now, look, I think enough space has been, enough time has gone by where, he's not fresh on our brains, right? So that sounds exactly like it to me. I think that was good, Jeremy. Not bad, buddy. Ryan King checks in. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. He says, what about trading 10 and 35 for DK Metcalf and the next year's third-round pick? So from Seattle. So DK and next year's third. Trade back number 4 to the Saints for 16 and 19 and maybe a next year's second-round pick. What do you guys think? Okay, so first, trading 10 and 35 for DK and a 2023 third. Any takers on that? Frankie, what do you got there?
Well, why don't we just do the Tyreek Hill deal? I mean, why do we have to give up the 10th pick? Tyreek.
Well, he's asking for this one. Would you do this one?
No, I'll give him the Tyreek Hill deal.
No.
And maybe I could they need some roster fillers over in Seattle. I got roster fillers for days. I got GVR. I got Denzel Mims. I got Trevon Wesco.
You're trying to get rid of GVR somehow, man.
Somebody needs him. Then we can sign LDT to come back.
Yeah, I think
I would like that.
Too cute with this, these multi-layer trades. Like if you know the Dr. Phil gif where he goes, that's exactly what I feel trying to rationalize this in my mind. I mean, doesn't work.
Well, look, let's look at it this way.
Give up a first-round pick in the Tyreek Hill. Tyreek deal. I don't see why we would have to in the DK deal. They could have if they want the exact same deal for Tyreek, we give them that.
You know what's funny about that? I don't like that deal. I don't like going from 10 all the way to pick 111. I know obviously a top 10 pick is extremely valuable, but I think I'd rather lose the 10 than 35, 38, and 69. I know in this one we lose 35 as well, but I don't know. I think I'd rather have 4, 35, 38, 69 than I would 4 and 10. Yeah, for sure. Unless I could trade back with 10. Hell yeah.
I'd rather have the two premium, 2 top 10 picks. That's so premium.
It is so premium.
Players, bottom line.
Yeah. Take a look at the last 5 years, top 5s in the second round. See if they're premium for you guys. You'll like them.
Elijah Moore was one of them.
Elijah Moore's one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Deebo Samuel's another one. So is AJ Brown. What?
I'll look it up if you want me to.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
They're pretty good. Now you can flub there too. Don't get me wrong, but anyway, I just don't like going from 10 to 111. It bothers me. Again, in my opinion, I think if Joe Douglas is willing to trade 35, 38, and 69 for a player, in my brain, he already has a pretty good indicator that he is going to be able to trade back from 10 and recoup some of that stuff. Maybe trade back to 20, get their second and a third, something like that. In addition to some other goodies. But that's my thought. I don't think we want to go that long. 101 picks until your next pick. That sucks.
Yeah. I'll just give you one example. I'll just give you like 5 years ago because that's a decent amount of time to, I think, evaluate a draft class. The first 5 picks in the second round were Kevin King, cornerback from Green Bay.
He's not that good.
I don't know that guy.
He's not that good.
Second pick was Cam Robinson by the Jaguars, the name who was in the news this offseason. Not bad.
He's okay.
He's okay. Third pick was Malik McDowell, defensive tackle to the Seattle Seahawks. I feel like I barely know the name.
Yeah, it rings a bell. I don't know who that is.
Okay. Then it was Budda Baker, safety to Arizona. Very good
That's
pick.
a great pick. Yeah.
Very good pick. Yeah. And then it was Zay Jones, wide receiver to the Buffalo Bills.
Okay pick.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So, see what I tell you.
Yeah, Ryan King in the chat's also making a good point after this one. So he asked this question, then he has another good point. He's saying DK is 24, and that's part of the equation too. DK and AJ, part of their appeal is they're 24 years old that you're getting them. You're not getting a 29-year-old guy. So
yeah, it's a big difference. And don't forget, DK Metcalf has played every game. Look at that.
Yeah, and he did play through injury last year. He's currently in a walking boot, for those who don't know. He currently is in a walking boot. He did have surgery on his foot. He played through pain the entire year. Very tough guy. But he did have an injury all last year. He got it fixed in surgery, so he's currently in a walking boot.
Yeah, well, that's clearly he waited till the offseason to get it done, and he's more than likely going to be back ready. That's the kind of guy I'm saying. There's many positives with this guy.
Yeah.
And it, like was just said, he's young. So Tyreek Hill is 29 years old. And you don't know how. I mean, he might have 8 years left for all we know. So we don't know, but he's approaching 30, which is that's a hill. That's the top of the hill in many instances. So if you're willing to give all that for Tyreek Hill, you should be at least willing to consider that for DK. And I guess, whatever side of it you want. I hate going from 10 to 111. It's too much for me. I can't handle it. What would I do day 2 of the draft, Frankie? What would I do?
Well, look, I keep trying to throw these players in so we don't have to give all the picks. They could have Denzel. They could have Trevon Wesco. They could have GVR. They can have Ty Johnson. They could have they could have Jason Pinnock for all I care. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that you might
There you
want.
go. Hey,
Mike White. Let's really be extravagant.
That's right. We got a quarterback for you too. I don't know if you
actually
guys
won Mike White. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but he had a 400 and something yard game last year. So
Maybe
right
we could trade
against
stadiums while we're at
the
it. We could have
Super Bowl
MetLife.
Bengals.
That's
It was
right.
against the Super Bengals.
Well, and don't forget the Seattle Seahawks are the team that gave Matt Flynn a major contract because of his one game in Green Bay that he threw 500 yards. So that's the organization that did it. They just happened to draft Russell Wilson the same year, and he beat him out in camp. So that's how that went. But it's not beyond them. So interesting stuff, Ryan. I think anything like that, you have to consider it, especially if you're planning on using number 10 on a wide receiver, whether it be Drake London, Garrett Wilson, or whoever, and you can get DK Metcalf for that pick. I think you do it. But the obvious negative is he's going to want 25 plus per year.
LA says Ashton Davis. If they would like it, Ashton Davis, we got so much for you rather than these draft picks. Yeah. But
right.
They might want him. They're in a rebuild. I mean, isn't Seattle rebuilding? Is Seattle rebuilding?
I don't know. It's not official yet.
If you have Drew Lock as your quarterback, you're rebuilding.
Well, I would think so, but they don't seem to want to trade Tyler Lockett or DK. So what is going on? Well,
here's what I think about that, about the DK thing. As we saw, I made a video on it yesterday. The report that we sent the 10th overall pick, or that we offered the 10th overall pick, and they said no, is erroneous. It's not real. The report said the Jets were going to offer the 10th overall pick, and Seattle knew it. So they didn't take the call or something like. It's like, okay. Well, so everybody knew what was going to happen, so it didn't need to happen. So if you're Seattle, and why would you want to trade DK for a number 1 overall? I mean, a first round pick, 10 overall. It could be because you want to get a quarterback in the draft. Now, if you are thinking of using this capital to jump up or anything like that, wouldn't you want to wait and not show your hand right now? Like, don't give teams that could jump you the opportunity to have lots of time to work it out. Do it on the draft day. Keep everything hush, hush, and quiet. And if it's going to happen, I think it'll happen then. That's my thoughts on it. So Wild Billy Boy checks in. Thank you, Wild Billy Boy. He says, if we get a wide receiver at 10, it has to be Jamison Williams. Just because he will start slow, he has the highest floor and the highest ceiling when healthy. Well, I don't think it has to be Jamison Williams. And I think the concerns are valid, Billy Boy. I don't know. You could look at it like that, but let's look at the other side. Everybody goes, so what? He'll miss half the season. So what? Well, that first half of Zach Wilson's second season could be pivotal for him developing into an NFL quarterback or not. Don't forget, we just watched Sam Darnold get literally shell-shocked. He was a different quarterback, in his third year than he was his first year. As far as his comfort level in the pocket, he was leaving a pocket before it even broke down. So if Zach keeps getting hit like he is and doesn't have weapons to hit and everything like that, he could start to revert. So I think having your team together to start the season, having him have the whole season to develop his chemistry with his receivers is paramount. So I wouldn't so lightly just shrug off that he's going to miss at least a portion of the season. Now, it's possible that he doesn't, but more than likely he's going to miss time. And then he's got to get back into football shape and the whole thing. Then he's got to learn the complex offense and all this stuff. So I think it's at least worth considering, and then taking a guy like Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or Drake London or Traylon Burks, whoever it is that you like. There's an argument to be made. Jeremy, what do you think? You taking Jameson Williams? Are you on the hype train?
I'm definitely on the Jameson Williams hype train.
It's crazy.
Look, I'm not saying there's not risk. I don't want to take him at 4 or anything, but I think that ACLs nowadays are not that serious. Like, I think that lots of players have been recovering from ACLs and been just fine. And,
name one.
Okay, Adrian Peterson.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding.
But I think that he's, outside the injury, he's on a different level. I just think he's the best receiver, in my opinion. And, and I think take the best wide receiver. We're not contenders for a Super Bowl next year. I want to get Zach to help right away. I don't deny that. But if we sign someone like a Keelan Cole and everything, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if we go into the year and he misses some games, but they're saying he might be ready. So, but I think I'm thinking long-term. And if you're someone who believes long-term that this is going to be an elite guy with the best chance to be a Jamal Chase or a Tyreek Hill, and I'm not saying he is, but the best chance to be that kind of elite receiver, you don't pass on him because he might miss the first few games of his career.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you can mitigate your risk. You can get a David Bell in the 3rd round. You could get a Kevin Austin in the 5th round. You could get a Tyquan Thornton, probably as a UDFA. This is a kid who's 6'2" and ran a 4.28. I mean, as a 5th rounder, a UDFA maybe even. You can get a Khalil Shakir in the 4th round. You could get. I mean, so just hedge your bet. Get Jameson and get another one. Why not?
And you could there's still some decent wide receivers in free agency you could sign for 1 year. So if you draft Williams and he's not ready to start immediately, you could plug somebody in, at least for the beginning of the year. Like, I'm not saying these are the greatest names in the world, but you could sign for a year a Sammy Watkins, an AJ Green, a T.Y. Hilton, a Marquise Goodwin, a Deshaun Jackson. Those are some of the names. I'm not even talking about Julio Jones. But
get Keelan for $1 million.
Well, I was going to say,
why can't Keelan come in for $1 million?
One guy, but there are others out there you could plug in to start the season.
Yeah, but I mean, Keelan's good because he's going to come cheap, and he already knows the system. He already knows Zach. I mean, yeah, he had drops last year, but we're talking about wide receiver 6. Yeah, just bring him in for $1 million. Why not? I don't understand why we haven't done that already.
If he'll take
because he can't get open and he can't catch except for really, really great catches.
But
and they probably think he talks too much.
I mean, he's probably, but he's better than Jeff Smith. I mean,
I agree.
That's all we're asking.
I like his personality more than his game, to be honest.
Well, yes.
No, it's funny because I don't know. He's always the guy talking and everything. I don't know if everybody loves him. I could be wrong. I feel like I get that.
I don't know. I mean, he's an extrovert. He's Denzel's buddy. They're like Mutt and Jeff, those two. One's the extrovert, the other one's the introvert. So I kind of like them together. It's like a buddy cop show.
All right. Well, there's your case. I would rather not see Keelan Cole back, but there are benefits. Like was said, he knows Zach, knows the team, knows the offense. So maybe cheap, right? There are benefits. And then you can go that route in the draft. New York to Florida checks back in. He says Joe Namath played CC Rider in a motorcycle movie, a semi-hit song called CC Rider. So that was Namath's big. They were maximizing on the cool factor when he was a young, good-looking, strapping young man. So that's what it is. CC Rider is Joe Namath. Well, thank you, New York to Florida. Now we know. This group we didn't know what the hell was going on. So let's see. David Gerard, thank you, David. He says, since you all are in other states, not New York and New Jersey, do you all like Jets, Mets, Rangers, Knicks? Well, I'll start and I'll say I don't really watch so many other sports anymore. But when I was an obsessive watching every league person, I was a New York Jets, obviously. I was a Nets fan, but the Nets were so embarrassing for so long that I did root for the Knicks as well. I used to go to a bunch of Knicks games. And I was an Islanders and Yankees fan. A little mixed up. But Jeremy, were you a Brooklyn Dodgers fan or anything?
No, my father was.
Yeah, I bet.
My father was. They broke his heart. When I used to get into fights with my dad when I was little, this was so mean. I used to scream at him, "The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant."
Oh, my God.
He almost killed me once.
He's like, why? My own son, right? Why would you do that?
It's crazy.
Frankie, are you a fan of other New York sports?
No, I used to be a Yankee fan, and I used to be a Knick fan during the Ewing era. So Patrick Ewing era of the Knicks, I was a huge Knicks fan. Loved the Knicks, and I used to listen to them on the radio. That's how much of a nutbag I was for the Knicks, because we didn't have fancy things like cable. So we had to listen to the radio. But I loved the Patrick Ewing Knicks. But after that era, I've lost interest in basketball, and then recently I just stopped following baseball because it just got too boring.
Well, that was a fun era. That's when I was really into the Knicks too, because I was into the Nets for years. I used to go to Nets games. They were literally a laughing stock. They were like giving tickets away to elementary schools. Yeah. So I would go there, like watch the Nets versus the Bulls, Michael Jordan, Pippen. And between like during commercial breaks, we would have these different multicolored furry gorilla animals that would come out and go like, do, eat all the stuff for the kids. And it was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot come here and root for this friggin' team. And then they got good too, which was fun. But yeah, that Knicks, man, Anthony Mason, Charles Bark, or Oakley, all those guys, Starks, Mark Jackson. They were fun.
Charles, and hey, congrats to Hubert Davis, coach of the UNC men's basketball champions.
There you go.
Davis. By the way, if you haven't read, if you're a Knicks fan, read Chris Herring's new book, Blood in the Garden, about the whole 90s era of the Knicks. New book just came out. Excellent book. Well, I got my Rangers on tonight. Shut out of the Penguins. Pretty big win tonight. And yes, I think David already knows I am Mets, Jets, Rangers, Knicks all the way.
There you go.
Frankie, I was going to ask you, do you remember when we were in the finals in 94 and O.J. Simpson interrupted the whole thing, the car chase?
Yeah, that was crazy. I do remember that.
That was wild, man. I was in California visiting my brother at the time.
We're in California.
At that time, he was Santa Clara.
Okay, I was like, how close to LA were you, Jeremy?
Interesting. All right, so AbLab Studios checks in. Thank you, AbLab. He says,
I apologize, Mikey. They made the finals. All right, I apologize.
Yeah, you're trying to hurt people's feelings out
there.
Yeah. He says, how much 12-man personnel will we run this year, gang? Percentage-wise, do you think running back is a go in this draft? If so, who? So, Frankie, talk about the 12 personnel. What's your prediction for a percentage of our offense?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give a percentage, but it's going to be a lot. Obviously, I personally think that we currently have 3 very good tight ends. I include Kenny Yeboah. I think Yeboah has potential and talent. So I think we're going to have a lot of 12 personnel. We wanted to have it last year, but it's hard when you have Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin and Trevon Wesco out there running around.
Yeah.
So now that we have a legitimate tight end room, and we might add to it in the draft, I think it's going to be much higher than probably the league average. I think we're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, and I think we're going to split Uzama out wide a lot. So we're going to have Tyler Conklin out wide sometimes, and we're going to utilize CJ like a wide receiver. Why not? One way to get a wide receiver is just take your tight end and put him out here. Now he's a wide receiver. Congratulations. Now we got it. Well, this wide receiver everybody wants, he's already in the room. His name is CJ Uzama. You just take him off the line and put him over here. He does the same thing. He runs the same route. He catches the ball and goes downfield. What's the difference?
Right. Well, that's like what they're saying with the, there are significant voices that say the best pass catcher in this draft is Trey McBride. He's got the best hands in the draft. It just happens to be a tight end. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Like you just said, Frankie, it's like, hey, man, if the best option for us happens to be another tight end on the field, put him out there. That's it.
And
Put him out.
Let me give you a statistic. Catch percentage. Last year, do you know what CJ Uzama's catch percentage was?
I don't.
78%. That means targets, the percentage of times he was targeted that he caught the ball. That's very high, extremely high. 65% is for tight ends is normal. He was at 78. That's insane. Now, maybe that's an outlier, and maybe it's because of Joe Burrow and this, that, and the other thing. But nonetheless, he's going to catch the ball, I think. He's going to catch it. When we throw it to him, he's going to catch it.
Yeah. What an amazing concept this is. So, look, you saw it, Jeremy. Like last year, we tried the first quarter of the season. We came out in 12 and even 22. Yeah. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. We tried, and it didn't work. Do you think this offseason and draft, like the free agency and draft, are about giving LaFleur what he wants? Do you see like a significant increase in 12, or you think it's just going to be a part of our offense?
I think the reason we got the 2 tight ends and the reason we signed Tomlinson right away was evidence that they want to help give LaFleur the tools that he wants to use to run the offense he wants to use. Notice how they didn't run in panic for a wide receiver, but they got 2 tight ends. Notice how they went right for an interior lineman. So what do they want? They want to be able to run again. And I think that we're going to see 22. We're going to see 21. We're going to see a mix of everything, but we're going to see a lot more 22 and 21 than we did last year.
Y2K, you got a percentage guess for us?
I would say about 25% of the time. I think last year they were in 12 formation about 20% of the time. Most often it was 11 with 3 wide receivers, but the 12 formation was their second most used formation. So once you actually have the horses that can play the 12 to play the 12 personnel, why not use it more? So I'm going to say 25%.
I'm going to be running more too.
Exactly.
Right. Out of it.
So much.
Right. We had to go into 11 because we were constantly falling behind because our defense stunk. So we had to have 11 because Zach had to throw to catch us up, which is also bad for a rookie. So sorry to interrupt.
Right. It's not the best place for a rookie quarterback to be, especially when he's not exactly settled. Oh yeah, by the way, you're down 21 points. Can you try to win for us?
And Kessman is our kicker, and we can't even kick a point out an extra point.
Oh yeah, getting to the 30-yard line is not good enough. We can't score from there.
We can't. 0-2. All right.
Well, AbLab Studios, I'm going to give you a guess, and I'm going to say 55% of our offense will be in 12, 21, or 22 personnel. And just to touch on the second part of your question there, I think we are definitely drafting a running back, more than likely 3rd or 4th. But I think it's actually very possible that we might pull it together in the second and just say, to hell with it. We want our running back. We're getting him. If they think he's significantly better than the other guys that are going to be available later, they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger in the second. And if they do, I will applaud it as long as it's the guy I like. I don't want to see you draft a 4th-round running back in the second, but it better be like Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, whatever guy they think is the guy. But that's what I would think. Ryan King says we missed your super chat. I didn't miss your super chat, buddy.
Which one?
Did I miss? Yeah, I didn't miss it, man. You just say sometimes you got to give us time. We're talkers. We're kind of long-winded. I don't just blow through them I don't give you 1-sentence answers, so it takes some time sometimes. My apologies.
GreenBean, we have breaking news.
What is it?
Breaking news. Matt Waletzko put up 28 reps of bench with 36 1/8 arms length. This is insane. Matt Waletzko, the tackle, he put up 28 reps with 36 1/8 inch arms. This guy, now there's a guy we could target for tackle depth right there, Matt Waletzko. That's a strong human being.
Matt Waletzko.
Yeah, he's super strong.
Breaking news from Brandon Thorne.
I'm looking at his 40 right now. Let's see what his 40 is. 5.03 second. I'm just looking at him. What's his RAS score, Frankie? He's projected to be an average backup. Yeah. This is just surface looking. I actually have, I did, he was part of an offensive lineman batch that I looked at.
993.
There you go.
9.93. This
Nice
is a
and
guy
athletic.
you take in the 5th round, right here.
Right.
Ran the
Perfect.
40 in 5.03 seconds from North
And
Dakota.
he's 6'7.5",
you go.
312 pounds. He ran a 5:03.40. He did a 3-cone 7.26 for that big of a man. 312 pounds. I mean, this is a guy.
Yeah, there you go. Like you said, though, that's the kind of guy in the 5th round that you bring on in and you develop them. That's it. These are those types of guys. And look, man, like I've said numerous times to everybody, you got to take a look. We all want certain guys in free agency every year. We go, oh my God, pay him fucking whatever he wants, $15 million. When we're talking about a lot of these players, tight ends, offensive linemen, guards, tackles, whatever, when you look at where they were drafted most of the time, they're 3rds, 5ths, 4th, 6ths. The team that drafted them did a good job of identifying potential, and then they developed them. When they get to their contract, now they're, everybody's, coveting them. How about we start getting those guys? And I think we have begun that. We've begun that process. And it started last year with the
no more
cornerbacks.
Ja'Kai Polites.
No.
We cannot have Ja'Kai Polites. You need people contributing all over, just like we had last year. We need draft after draft like last year where we have contributors all over.
I'm a lot more worried about productivity than I am athletic traits.
But,
of course,
for a 5th round pick, if you're going to pick a tackle, you want an athletic guy who's strong in the 5th round. I mean, this guy, that's a guy you take that's the kind of kid you take a flyer on right there.
Yeah, I do like that we brought Sanat back. I think he's got potential too. He might be a career backup guy, but he's a guy if you can keep him around a while. He's been kind of passed around a little bit, but I actually like him.
But there's a new rumor out that from Tony Pauline that the Jets are going to take a tackle in the 1st round. This is something Pauline is peddling. My question to Pauline is okay, then why are we signing Greg Sanat and Connor McDermott and all these people for depth if we're going to do that?
Yeah, Sanat.
I mean, look, maybe just maybe. I think it's silly to do that unless they have a trade lined up for, you know what I mean, something like that. As far as just bringing in a tackle, and you could make the case that, Fant's on his last year of his contract, you want to have the replacement, you want to have him in your system a year. You don't do that in the 1st round, in my opinion. If we do, I think it's a mistake.
That's what I think. You can draft a backup, but he's saying in the 1st round, like the 4th pick is going to be Ekwonu for us, or Ekwonu or Neal, and it's that's. You can't use that pick and have somebody be a backup. That's not good roster management.
Yeah, I would have an issue with it. Now, I'd root for the player. I would obviously try to look at the positive and all that shit. But that, to me, would mean that Becton's on his way out. That's what it would mean to me.
And I said this to Jeremy last night. I said, especially since they signed Lake and Tomlinson.
Yeah.
At number 4, I can only justify 2 things: an edge rusher or trading down. I can't justify I can't justify cornerback, I can't justify linebacker, and I can't justify offensive tackle anymore.
I feel the same way.
Now, if you want to trade back and acquire an additional second, let's say, and use that second for a tackle, all right, maybe because we got an additional second in a trade back. All right, I could see it, but not with the 4th pick. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to justify. Now, if they do it, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to think, but I think that's probably incorrect. Ryan King checking back in. Maybe this was the super chat he thought I missed, but how did he get that one in before this one, Jeremy? That's the weird part,
I'm trying to figure it out. I told him to send me it, and I'll check, and if we missed it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I got 2 from him, I think. Well, either way, I thank you, Ryan. If I did, I sincerely apologize. It's Jeremy's fault if we did. But we're trying, man. We're definitely trying to prioritize that. DK Metcalf is only 24 years old, and Tyreek Hill is going to be 29, and he can change our organization for the next 5 years, if not longer. Well, I think, that's kind of what we were saying, right? It's that when you look at these guys side by side, I mean, I think Tyreek Hill, I think you can say he's the more dynamic receiver so far in their career, but DK Metcalf is a stud, and he's 20. He's going to be 25 at the start of next year's season, I believe. Tyreek Hill is 29. So It's a lot to be said. If you were willing to give away those 3 picks for Tyreek Hill, but then there's the thing with if this coaching staff really is so limited in what types of players they can use, like that was a lot of the stuff we heard about, Denzel Mims last year. If that really is the case, then you can see maybe Tyreek Hill being more valuable to them. But I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? You think it matters as far as the type of receiver? Do you think that they could use DK the same way they could use Tyreek Hill, or where do you stand?
No, I mean, I think that they know what type they want, right? And maybe they don't care. Maybe they figure they could work either one in, even if they are different. The only thing we know for sure is we made a very big play for Tyreek Hill, so we can't deny that they see a fit for that type of wide receiver. Everything else is just speculation.
Right, and they didn't seem as interested in Amari Cooper. Like, remember when we were talking about Amari Cooper a month ago? The $20 million seemed like a lot of money. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like a deal. Isn't that crazy? It's like, oh, only $20 million for a receiver? Just last year, it was like breaking the bank.
Well, the other thing, DK is a big, deep threat. And we have a quarterback who can throw him the ball, man.
Right.
We got a guy here who has a rocket cannon for an arm. And DK, what are you going to do with your safety? You going to double DK? Okay, great. Elijah Moore's going to be open. Good luck with that. You're going to take your safety down and try to double on Elijah? Great. You're going to put one-on-one with DK Metcalf? Okay, good luck with that. With Zach Wilson throwing the ball. I mean, oh, man, it would be so great.
Well, that's we have a tight ends now who can actually catch the ball.
That
that's
too.
mentioning Corey Davis.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, so you're going to leave a hole in the middle of the field? Great. Then do CJ Uzomah's going to gouge you all day long? I mean, man.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, this is it, man. Like, we're building it. It's there. And that's such a great point that we kind of forget to mention a lot of the time when you want guys like, Robbie Anderson or whoever it is to take the top off a defense. Your quarterback has to be able to hit him. And guess what? Ours can. That's one of the things he's known to have is a rocket arm. Dude, that's the best. That's the best thing ever. Daniel Faust, thank you for the super chat. He says, Will Parkinson seems to be in the know on Assman today and named Thibodeaux and 10 Drake London. Do you agree? What's okay? Do you agree with that one?
Yeah, I've heard Will talk a couple times. Sounds pretty knowledgeable. I think we're pretty much in agreement on Thibodeaux, that's somebody who we're definitely interested in drafting at number 4. Definitely seems like that could happen. I've mentioned I'm not the biggest Drake London fan, mostly because of the separation. I feel like it's more his physicality that has led him to be as productive as he is in college. But I don't know if he's going to get by unless he figures out some new moves. Strength alone will not make you a great wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. So
for me, London is a little bit down on my list. I would rather have Jameson Williams or Garrett Wilson before I think about Drake London.
Yeah, that's it's well said. I mean, it's all going to be their which flavor they really want to add to the offense. But I will say this, Daniel, I think Drake London's ankle might be more of a concern than is being led on right now. I mean, they had to push the pro day and all that sort of stuff. And there's lots of whispers coming out that his ankle is it's not necessarily 100%. So when we're talking about injuries like ACL, like Jeremy said, those, we're taking care of those these days, but ankles tend to linger. Even ankle sprains tend to linger, man. There's a lot going on with that injury. And I think as much as I personally like Drake London, he's my kind of receiver, man. I like him. That ankle is another concerning thing. Again, the Jets drafting guys with lingering things like that, it doesn't get better with us, at least not yet. So far, if there's a concern and they come here with it, it happens. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes with the Jets. But, Will Parkinson, I think he says some good stuff sometimes,
Daniel, let me give Daniel a systems over goals response. So, Daniel's a frequent commenter on my channel as well. So, Daniel, on my channel, we talk about systems rather than goals, right? So, one of the things you could do is look back and see how historically correct has Will Parkinson been. So, for example, Peter Schrager has a new mock out today, and he has us taking Sauce and Jameson Williams, I think. So I went back and I said, and everybody's saying, well, if Schrager is saying we're taking Sauce, he knows he's got the inside scoop with the Jets. We're taking Sauce. So I said, all right, let me see how accurate Schrager was last year. And you know what? He got like 3 or 4 of the first round picks right, and that's it. So he was not accurate. So he's not accurate last year. So why am I? He got the first 2 right. He got Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson correct. Okay, great, wonderful. So did everybody else in the world. Other than that, he didn't get much else right. I think he got like 1 or 2 others right. So I always look back at the track record and try to figure out from a systemic point of view, does this person get a lot of things? Now, nobody's going to get everything right in a mock like that. But I would think if somebody gets 60%, that's really good. 65, 70, then you should really listen to them, right? So what does Will Parkinson do? I don't know. Look, but that's a system way to look at it and say, has Will Parkinson historically been correct, or is he just saying stuff?
I never heard of him until about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
If that.
Right. Oh, that's right. I mean, he's climbing up. You know what I mean? He's a guy climbing up. But that's a great point Frankie makes, and that's kind of the way to look at it. You guys should follow GreenBean. I have a 75% accuracy on my mocks, I think it is. I got to go back and check those numbers, but that's what I think.
Unofficial.
Unofficial stats are 75%.
Like trivia numbers, according to Follower of Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very similar to FOC's stats of the trivia. Ryan King checking back in. Thanks, buddy. He says, everyone forgets that we coached the Senior Bowl, and last year's draft class was amazing for us. And now we have an inside scoop, so we know these players in this year's draft. Right. When speaking about the seniors that were in the Senior Bowl, definitely. Now, it just so happens that a lot of the players that were the higher rated players at the Senior Bowl happened to be positions that we're looking at too. Things like running back, like tight end, like center, like edge rusher, defensive line. Those types of things are where the premium really was in the Senior Bowl. So, and if you watch the way that we handled them, we used guys in a very, very deliberate and specific way. And I think that you have a point. Jeremy, if you had to put a finger on it, how many guys from the Senior Bowl roster do you think the Jets will end up drafting? You think it's possible we get like more than one?
I think we may get an undrafted free agent, maybe 2 from the Senior Bowl, and maybe like 1 that we draft if they're there at the right time for us. But I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a couple of guys undrafted.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Think about this. Think about all the tight ends we coached in the Senior Bowl, right? This is something I think about. And Coach Middleton, who's there and hit it in and all this. Everybody was all excited. And everybody was saying, oh, my God, we're going to take McBride. We're going to take this. We're going to take 17 tight ends from the class because we coached all of them. And then what did we do in free agency? We signed two guys from the tight end.
Right.
And so I don't think those guys made as good an impression as we had thought they would have, right? Because that's
a good way to look at it.
Our action said, man, Trey McBride, not so much, maybe,
Yeah, I mean,
you can find some decent tight ends, but you're not going to find a star quality tight end in this draft like you had with the Kyle Pitts. I think that's one of the things that we thought about. We can go back and look at the mock drafts and everything we've done. We took Trey McBride, I think it was 5 drafts in a row. It was 5 or 6 drafts in a row.
At the same pick.
We don't even talk about him anymore.
Yeah, he was locked in, and now he's like, forget him. He stinks. Yeah.
We're looking at him like we look at a quarterback in this year's draft. We're as likely to take Trey McBride as we are Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Well, that's a good point that you guys are making, right? Like what Y2K is saying too. Like he was not only taken in every draft, he was picked 35.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to be a first, but he's the first guy outside of the first we want. Now, I would not be I wouldn't be blown away if they ended up, if he was there at 35, if they said to hell with it, we're bringing him in anyway. I wouldn't be surprised. But do I think that's happening? Probably not. But I do think we'll bring somebody in. Like we were talking about earlier, Jelani Woods is a great guy to take a flyer on. And I also think somebody that they used heavily in the Senior Bowl was Jake Ferguson. And I think that they're going to consider him as well. Now, as far as how many guys from the Senior Bowl roster, I think there's a good chance that we bring in a few. And I think the tight ends are one, but I also think they like Cole Strange, they like Trevor Penning, and they liked Zion Johnson. Now, Penning and Zion Johnson look like it's possible that they might go in the first. Like they really could.
They will.
But Cole Strange is more of a late third-ish kind of a guy, mid-third. So we might be able to take him there. I think he'd be great because he's very versatile and he's an animal. So he seems like he's right up their alley. But I think Jeremy hit it. I think you're going to see a few of the undrafted free agents from the Senior Bowl. Like Frankie said before, Bo Melton. I don't see Bo Melton getting drafted. He could, of course, but he's the perfect kind of guy. Rutgers doesn't, they don't produce too much. So having their wide receivers slide through and end up on the Jets is not unheard of.
And he's also from New Jersey. So obviously Rutgers is in New Jersey, but the kid, I'm looking at his background now. His first name is actually Miles Melton, Miles Bo Melton. He's from Mays Landing, New Jersey. So this is a kid who's from Jersey. So let's bring him in. Yeah, he's not too good, but he's fast.
I think Joe Douglas wants guys from Virginia, Right. Bryce Huff, Kai Becton, Jelani Woods will be next. So I think we're going local here.
I think so. Why not? I would love it if we took Jelani Woods. He is the perfect type of player to bring on and develop. Perfect.
Yeah, tight end 4. Perfect.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. And I would love to see it, quite frankly. I love when we draft UV. I'm here. I'm back at Charlottesville. I was looking at houses here today, and they're way too expensive. I can't buy one in Charlottesville, by the way.
But that's a kid who in 3 years could be your tight end 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And we don't have a need for him to be that now. So he can slowly develop. He can be behind Yeboah, but he can still be used. I mean, he's 6'7". Just bring him in the red zone and throw it up to him. Let him.
Well, somebody brought it up before. They said, imagine our red zone offense. We roll out there Uzomah, Conklin, Jelani Woods, and Mims.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just throw the ball up underhanded, and they're going to get it.
Come on.
Yeah.
So that's Elijah Moore scooting around. Like
that's right. Underneath, zip, 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 zip. Just fucking scooting through the gaps.
Michael Carter to the house.
Yeah. Oh man, we have so much potential, guys. It really does come down to Zach, the protection, and our coaching. But LaFleur gave me a lot to feel happy about. He gave me a lot to feel comfortable about. He looks like he's got a creative mind, and that if we have the horses, we can get some stuff done. And we're bringing him in, man. Rick checks in with a super chat. He says, we should not draft anyone coming off an injury. Why? Our turf has a good history of injuring the healthy and keeping the injured hurt. This is what I'm saying, Rick. It's not that I don't think Jameson Williams is wide receiver 1. I do think that, but I'm scared. It's not that I don't love Drake London, but I'm scared. I love David Ajabo, but I'm afraid. You guys know my favorite receiver in this class is George Pickens. But I don't want to draft him. You want to know why? Because he's fucking injured all the time. It scares me. That's why I didn't want Laviska Shenault. He was my favorite receiver in that draft, Shenault. And he's so fucking good, man. But he's an injury waiting to happen. And I hate it. And it just scares me because of our luck. And like Rick brings in the field. Now, Frankie, you've done some extensive griping on the field. Any progress?
No, there's no progress.
None.
No, because it's going to come down to an issue of, is the players union, do they have the balls to negotiate it into the next CBA? You can't just put out a press release, JC Treader. You got to actually negotiate it into the CBA, my guy. But the thing is, this is something Mike Vrabel said today. He said, you know what? The injury rate for football players is 100%. The injury rate for football players is 100%. They're all injured. So, I mean, you don't want a guy who is overly injured or has something severe, but at the same time, if you think you can get a clean player in football, you're not. They're all going to get it. They're all either have been injured, are injured, or going to be injured. That's football.
And
whether or not they can play through it. Yeah. What's that? What's okay?
What we need to do is Solomon Thomas talked about in his press conference. He went to the turf. He made peace with it. He had a talk with the turf. I think every draft pick we bring in, every free agent we pick in, Solomon Thomas just takes him right to the 50-yard line. We perform a little exorcism over the MetLife turf and ward off all the bad.
What a cool guy, though, right? What a cool guy. I mean, what a guy for the Solomon Thomas.
I saw that. I'm like, he's nuts, but I think I like him already.
Yeah, right. What a
wait. He really did that?
Yes,
he said that. Yeah,
he said it to the beat reporters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love it. I didn't hear that. That's fantastic.
Because they asked him.
I'm not making this up.
Because they asked him. They said, "Didn't you get hurt on this turf, Saleh?" Well, they didn't call him Saleh, but Solomon, didn't you get hurt on this turf? And so why would you sign here, knowing that you got injured right here on this field turf, which is rubber and silica? They didn't say that. That's me adding that.
Yeah, right.
And
That's you adding details.
You got it.
And then he said what Y2K said. So, yeah.
That's
Yeah, he
beautiful.
talked to the
I
turf
love
like
it.
He was like he was Mark Fidrich, if you know the old baseball pitcher, like he was Mark the Bird Fidrich talking to the baseball, and
Right.
There's that little bit of nuttiness, so that's what was up.
I like it. I like that. See, I believe in that shit, man. Bring every gun to the battle. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Just bring whatever you can to the fight here. You want to pray to the center of the field? I'm with it. Do it. So Phenom checked in. Now, Phenom, you didn't put anything there. So I scrolled through and I'm going to bring up your next comment. I appreciate the super chat, but you said football players, not workout warriors. Now, the good news is that there is a middle ground, and you can have, somebody who's a football player that likes the gym. If you guys remember, we had a football player who didn't go to the gym for a long time. His name was Mo Lewis. When Parcells got here, he said he was very surprised to find out that one of his prominent players on this team didn't even know how to work out. And we found out later he was talking about Mo Lewis. So they had to he just, he lifted weights, he did the stuff, but he didn't know how to do anything. So it is good when you can have a football player and then learn to work out and do it properly and maintain your body, because that elongated Mo Lewis's career. And I know a lot of people only want to remember one play of the guy's career, but he played for us for 12 years. He was our starting weak side linebacker for 12 years, and he's one of the best linebackers we ever had. But anyway, I think it's more about that common ground in the middle. You know what I mean? But I'm with you. You don't want just the fastest guy.
I'll give you a football player to keep in mind, and especially if we could get him as a UDFA. I love this guy, Connor Hayward, Michigan State. This guy is a tight end. This is the brother of the defensive lineman Hayward on the Steelers.
Casey Hayward, yep.
Yeah, this guy can play tight end. He can play fullback. He can play running back. He was a quarterback in high school if you need him to be the emergency quarterback. This guy can back up. He can play special teams. He can back up many positions on your team with one position. Connor Hayward is a football player I'd love to have on my team. He's the son of Ironhead Hayward. Both of them are obviously the brothers. And so love the bloodline. I love his versatility. You can get him. He's rated as a 6th round pick. So maybe he doesn't even get drafted, or maybe we could trade up into the 7th round to get him. That's a football player I'd love to have on my team. And I'll tell you, if the New England Patriots get him, that's a guy that Bill Belichick will figure out how to use. But that's a football player right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Connor Hayward?
Connor Hayward.
Yeah, we usually don't like guys named Connor around here, but I'll look up.
I know. There's too many Connors. He needs
Connor
a good nickname like Ironhead.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, McDermott, McGovern, Hughes, Rogers.
Too many Connors.
Too many Connors.
So I'll throw this one around the panel for a second here. So Dat Boy Mark wants to know, who do you think Kayvon Thibodeaux's pro player comp is? I got a good one.
Easy.
What do you think? What do you think, Frankie?
Jadeveon Clowney. It's easy.
Davion Clowney. That's the guy he says he models his game after, too. Y2K, you have another comp for him?
That one sounds pretty good to me, to be honest. Not usually in the player comp, like the comp thing, but yeah. Clowney works for me.
What do you got, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've heard and seen Clowney as the guy. I don't remember his weight. There's a guy I'm thinking of, and I'm not saying he's going to be this good. I'm not smoking crack or anything, anybody, but I don't remember his weight. But the way he stops the run and his explosiveness, sometimes at some point I was thinking Reggie White.
Ooh,
but
Reggie White.
I'm not saying he'll be that good, and I don't remember how big Reggie White was.
Reggie White must have been bigger.
He should only
seemed bigger. He seemed bigger for his day, because people were smaller then, and he was just a monster. But
well, let me tell you, I'll give you one that's a little bit outside the box, and I know he's smaller. He's like 10 pounds or so lighter, but I liken him to Myles Garrett. That's my hope for him. Wouldn't that be nice to have a Myles Garrett on our team? So what do you think of that?
As long as I don't get any helmets in anybody, sign me up for that.
Wild Billy Boy checking in. Who's your favorite Jet from the 90s, early 2000s? Jeremy, what do you got? Who's your favorite Jet from the 90s and early 2000s?
Curtis Martin.
Curtis. Frankie, what do you think?
Yeah, the one jersey I have, Curtis Martin.
Yeah, Chad Pennington. Yeah,
Chad Pennington. Good for you. I like both those players. I'm going to say Mo Lewis. That was my guy. But I will also say Dennis Byrd. I always wore a 90 jersey. All through my own playing, because of Dennis Byrd, he was my guy. And then obviously after the injury, I wore, 90 was what I wore for 20 years. Everywhere I went, all my jerseys were 90.
You know what, Green, last night, Payo Time, the big Rams fan, asked us this very same question. He said, who's your favorite Jet from the 90s? And I actually went with Dennis Byrd because Chad didn't come along till the 2000s. And so, yeah, Byrd was who I would have mentioned, too, for the 90s. So.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I gave an honorable mention to James Hasty. Man, I love that.
Oh, yeah, you go. Dude, he was no joke. So underappreciated. So underappreciated.
You got a little twinkle in your eye as soon as you think of James Hasty, Jeremy. It's just like you just shine a little brighter when James Hasty pops in.
Because he never shut up. He just talked in their face. He just yapped and yapped. I loved it.
Yeah. When we had James Hasty and Eric McMillan, and then even Brian Washington came in as safety, and even Mike Brim. I liked Mike Brim with him, and then Lonnie Young. It was they were such a good secondary, man. Ronnie Lott played with James Hasty. That was Ronnie Lott, Brian Washington, James Hasty, and I think it might have been Mike Brim, maybe another cornerback at the time. But man, were they good, dude. James Hasty is very underappreciated by Jet Nation. He should be a legend with us. AbLab Studios. What if we got KT at 4? Our number 10 is fodder for a DK trade, and we got Pickens at 35. That would be fire. So I've proclaimed my love for George Pickens. But here's what I would say, AbLab. If we're using the number 10 on a wide receiver, I don't want to use 35 on a wide receiver. Now, maybe the logic is George Pickens, he might need a little time to heal, so you already got DK, and I get it, but I'm not using 10 and 35 on a receiver. Sounds like Frankie doesn't like the idea either. What do you got, Frankie?
Yeah, because we need defense. Our defense was the worst in the league. We need as many defense people. So if we fix our wide receiver with 10 either one way or another, then 35 is on defense, 38 is on defense, and then we could talk about the other picks. I mean, we might want to get another wide receiver later, 4th round, 5th round, fine, for depth. That's no problem. But not 35. That's a premium pick. That's going to be defense. It's going to be a safety or something.
Yeah, and just think, with the front 7, we haven't addressed the front 7 this offseason. Jacob Martin? I'm sorry, that's not moving the needle for me.
Well,
no, Bradley and I.
We get
Bradley and I.
I's on the practice squad. But KT, we have KT, so he slots in as a starter. And then, but 35 is a good point by Y2K. We could get Perrion Winfrey, somebody like that, or Travis
at
Jones.
35.
Darren Mathis, Devontae Wyatt.
Right. Those
guys, Fedarian Mathis. Perrion Winfrey.
Mathis. Yeah.
I love him.
I love it.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's my guy. Yeah. He's probably my favorite.
And that's what we need,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, from what I've seen, the interior defensive line is considered about the position group with the least depth in this draft. If they don't finish, I would say day 2 with a defensive tackle, I'm going to be pretty concerned. Not going to kid you.
Well, because we have pretty good. Because if we can add an edge and a D tackle, that's going to become a strength of the team, like a D tackle early, like one of these guys. Then that becomes a super strength, and that's what we want. The solid defense needs that to be the case, and I think we just need an upgraded talent there. I would agree.
Yeah. So let's look at our group. So we have Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Nathan Shepard. We have Solomon Thomas.
Carl.
I'm talking about the interior here. So
he can play either one though, really.
Well, yeah. So you got JFM now too. He's more than likely going to be interior. So you got Rankins, Quinnen, JFM, Nathan Shepard, Solomon Thomas, Jonathan Marshall, and the other guy. And Kyle Phillips is still out there. He hasn't signed anywhere, at least that I haven't caught. So That's not a strong unit to you guys? You want to add a guy? No?
Who's stopping the run? Yeah, to me, we don't have like a guy who could rotate in to stop the run. Shepard's not going to do it. Marshall's not going to do it. Rankins didn't do it. Quinnen's probably the best one at doing it, but I don't think he was that effective at it last year.
Yeah, that's need more.
That's supposed to be Nathan Shepard's deal, but I don't know, man. I think that if we made it through the draft and addressed edge, linebacker, like for the defense and safety, like we did that adequately, I would feel fine. I would prefer if they're making a choice between another edge, a linebacker, or a defensive tackle, I'd have zero problem if they brought in a linebacker or safety there instead.
I wouldn't mind it, but I have a feeling they're not going to address linebacker at all. I hate to break it to you, GreenBean. My feeling is they think they're set at linebacker. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it personally, but I think they think very highly of Quincy, more highly than we do. And I think they think very highly of Sherwood. And I think they think very highly of Nasruddin. And I think, and of course, CJ. And then you have, backups like Delshon Phillips, et cetera. So I think they think they're done. And maybe, maybe they think a UDFA or something,
I've been saving that as one of my hot takes that I've been thinking over the last week, and I'm thinking about it more and more too. Because a
lot of the times, don't forget, we only have 2 linebackers on the field.
Yep.
A lot of the times. And
you never heard them talking about a linebacker in free agency. I mean, who's the last one they talked about? Keanu Neal, who they were going to convert from safety?
Even Kazir White. I mean, Kazir White went for $5 million to the Eagles, which is another great signing the Eagles had, by the way. And so Kazir White, we weren't in on Kazir White for $5 million. What? Why? Because I think they think it's going to be CJ on the field. We're going to be in nickel a lot again, I think, with CJ, and they think Sherwood backed up by Quincy. That's what I think. I could be wrong. We'll see. But that's my feeling.
I'd be very surprised if they don't bring in a linebacker. I do agree with you that they are high on Sherwood. I think that they look like CJ Mosley. This is probably his last year with us. I mean, I think that's in consideration. So he's going to be going. We have Sherwood, who's a question mark, who they like. Nasruddin's a major question mark. They might like him, but he's still a question mark. And Quincy Williams is a spot starter, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I don't think they think he's full time.
I think they think more of Quincy than we do. That's what I think.
Well, that would be coming. I don't know where I mean, I get what you're saying. But I don't know where the foundation is for that thought. He had a lot of trouble last year. A lot.
He did. No, I agree with you. But his missed tackle percentage was only 12%. It's less than you think. But
what's his getting burned percentage?
Well, that's what I think. That's what I think. So I think they think he's got the physical tools, and if they could get him to be better in the system, know where his run fits are, I think they think he can do it. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I see what you guys are saying too about defensive tackle. I just think that we're more well manned there than we are at linebacker, safety, edge. Like we need an influx. Look, if they think the best player on the board is Perion Winfrey or Fedarian Mathis or whoever, and they do that, that's fine. But I don't know. I see it. I think we could definitely justify. Same thing with cornerback. You could justify fortifying other areas and going with what you have, maybe bringing in another undrafted big body, 5th round guy or something like that to eat up run space. That's like the easiest thing to find is a big fat guy that clogs the middle. But anyway, we'll see. So Scott Wilson checks in. He says, Deebo has unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram. We touched on that a little bit early, but what do you guys make of this? Watsuke, do you think, we see more and more of this, but do you think this is anything more than just like an agent ploy to motivate them to pay him? Or do you think this is where there's smoke, there's fire?
I think it's just leveraging. I wouldn't make too much of this. But it does seem – I'm trying to think of other situations where this has happened, and it seems like usually when it does happen, they change teams in different sports. That I'm just trying to think of specific examples, but it seems like the few times I've heard about it, something does change. So I don't know. I don't think the Niners are going to want to let Samuel get away. I could see him being I feel like they use so many running backs, they're going to look at them as being interchangeable. But I think if I was them, I'd look at George Kittle as the focus of that offense. And maybe Deebo feels disrespected by that. Maybe he wants to be the number one option in an offense. But the way he played last year, especially in the playoffs, I think he's earned a a very substantial contract. So might be a little bit of a hasty move, but if that's the leverage that he feels he has to use, then let him have fun with it.
Now, Frankie, let me ask you this. If we were able to get DK or Deebo, same price, whatever it is, maybe they take Greg Van Rote, and like you said, we'll throw that into whatever it is for you. But if you could pick one of the two, which one you grabbing?
Oh, that's an interesting question. They're both. I would. Well, I guess if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with Deebo simply because of the fact that he's coming from going to the same system, and the familiarity, LaFleur familiarity, and all of that. He's not going to have to adjust or anything. So I would probably, if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably take Deebo for that reason. We'll just keep using him like the 49ers do and just keep on trucking. But DK would be great as well. And he would just be a little different. He's more of a deep threat. Whereas Deebo, he's that combo running back, wide receiver, use him all over the damn place kind of guy. So I don't know that it's hard.
You have to pick one. You have to pick one right now.
I guess I would choose Deebo just because of, well, I guess for two reasons. One, DK's in a walking boot right now. And number two, Deebo has familiarity with our scheme, so he doesn't have to, adjust any.
Yeah, there you go. Jeremy, who you taking? Quick. Have to do it right now. It's your last chance. DK or Deebo? Deebo. What 2K?
Deebo averaged 18.2 yards per catch, highest in the league.
There you go. I feel the same way, and that does not mean we want to put this out there. Doesn't mean we don't want or like DK Metcalf. It's just side by side. I think Frankie said an important one too. He's coming from our system. We're talking about a zero curve. None. There's no learning curve. He comes right in. They go, oh yeah, when we said this for this, here's our new word for it. That's it.
Yeah, right.
So Ryan King checking back in. He's supporting what Frankie said before. You guys know my love for Kenny Yeboah. I'm a strong believer, but he says I absolutely love Kenny Yeboah. I think that was motivated by Frankie's Kenny Yeboah's entrenched at tight end 3 comment. So how do the other guys feel? You guys think Kenny Yeboah is going to be a part of the offense, or you think 1 year undrafted free agent, we tried him out, we're going to move on? What do you think, Jeremy?
I hope. I don't think he did anything to ruin it. I think he did all right on special teams when he came in and was on the roster, and he made a couple of catches in the one game he really got real playing time in. So he didn't do anything. Why would they keep him around? Why would they do all that? What did he do for them to say we don't want to keep him on the roster? But he'll still have to earn it if he comes. Yeah. If he comes into camp and lays an egg, he's gonna have to play his butt off.
Right. What do you think, Watch2K? Kenny Yeboah?
Yes. Yeah, same thing. I think he's going to have an opportunity to make the roster, but I think worst case scenario, he'll be the next Daniel Brown, mostly a special teams contributor who might get a couple snaps per game, especially if there's an injury. He might get a couple of opportunities, and when he does, he has to make the most of them. Nice.
There you go. I'd love New York to Florida checking back in. He said, I'd love to trade one of our excess for a 6th and draft the ASU punter Matt Araiza another weapon. And what do you mean our excess? One of our excess players, like a Frankie? We're going to start calling these the Frankie specials. So a Frankie special, like get a 6th, like we did with Blake Cashman. Yeah, I'd love a 6th round pick. What do you think, Frankie? You think it's real? You think we can pawn one of these guys off for a 6? You think that's what Joe Douglas is doing?
I mean, we might, but here's I did some research on Matt Araiza, so everybody's all all excited about Matt Araiza. He averages in college 3 more yards per punt than Braden Mann did. 3 yards more. Right. So let's all get excited about Matt Araiza. We have Braden Mann. He's basically the same thing. What's the difference? Except Matt Araiza is a kicker who can field goal kick sometimes. But you know what? Braden Mann's also our kickoff guy. He's not our field goal kicker, but he does our kickoffs. I mean,
and they both can tackle.
Matt Araiza.
Yeah. That's what I keep telling everybody. But see this thing, like this, it falls right in line with what we're talking about with Becton and getting all the backlash and Mims getting the backlash. Same thing with Braden Mann. Dude, he had his plant leg ripped off last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He came back. He had a huge thing on his leg. And he slowly got better and better and better. Dude, he's a fine punter. He's going into his 3rd year. He's super young. He's going to be fine. That was a good point. 3 yards difference. Don't forget, a couple years ago, everybody was saying this about Braden Mann. It was the same hubbub. So yeah, I'm with it.
GreenBean said that previously, and that's what made me research it. And I looked at their college, I compared them in college. It's 3 yards difference, really, literally.
There you go. So Frankie checking on it and to support it, and I like that. But yeah, man, I like the first half. I'd love to get rid of some of these guys and get a 6th or even a 7th or so. Just we end our draft in the 5th round, and then we got to wait 2 rounds before we can start calling the undrafted free agents. I'd love to have another swing in there, not at the behest of our 5th. So I want to keep them. At the same time, if you can get a 6th or 2, I'd love it. Let's see. Ablab checking back in. Thank you, Ablab Studios. Says exactly, Frankie. Injuries are part of the game. Sidebar, can we all as Jets fans start a petition to change that crappy field, or as New York football fans? Hey, last night in our we were watching in my Patreon, we were watching the 2003 Chad Pennington, Curtis Martin, Kevin Mawai led Jets beat up on the Peyton Manning led Colts. We were rewatching that game last night in my Patreon, and one of the guys, Johnny, said that he's going to be contacting you, Frankie, to start this petition about the field. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that idea already. I abandoned the idea because I didn't think people would support it. And sometimes, I've been in workplace injury field for a long time in my profession. And people have a weird relationship to people being injured. It's very strange. You'd think that more people would care about this, but they don't seem to. So I abandoned that idea. If anybody wants to do it, I'll support it 100,000%. Everybody knows I've done videos on this. We need to get rid of this field turf. The petition should say that the fans support the NFLPA. So the NFL Players Association has all the data. All we have to do is say, we, the fans, support the request of the NFL Players Association to make all of the fields in the NFL grass and dirt. And they have all the data. We can point to articles written by the AP on this. And that's all we need to do. We just say we support the players union on this request. That should be the petition.
Frankie, I'll contact you this week. We'll get it started.
All right.
There you go. So there you go, Ablab. We're going to do it. It's real. We're going to do exactly that. Appreciate you bringing it up again. New York Jeff says, Kayvon Thibodeaux is Deion Jordan. I'll pass. Deion Jordan is the guy. Miami, actually, if I remember correctly, they traded up to get up to the 3rd overall pick for Deion Jordan, and he is what we could label a bust. I mean, he plays okay. He does some things, but he's not 3rd overall pick worthy. You think, really? Let me look at some size metrics and stuff like 6'6", 284. Yeah, I mean, he's right. He's a little heavier than KT. But I don't know. I mean, that could be a decent comp. I haven't kept tabs on Deion Jordan and don't really know what he was coming out. But I don't know. I think there's no reason to dump the worst guy that you've confined and say he's KT either. Any knowledge on Deion Jordan?
People also say if we make this pick, it's going to be Vernon Gholston. We can't take a defensive lineman that high because it's going to be Vernon Gholston again. And it's like, so you're going to just eliminate an entire position group because of a bad pick a million years ago. And you know who also has bad picks? Every team. Every team in the NFL has been. What about N'Keal Harry? So the wide receiver. So the Patriots shouldn't take any wide receivers in the 1st round because N'Keal Harry. Is that what's going on? What about Noah Igbenogany? Should the Dolphins never take a cornerback in the 1st round because of Noah Igbenogany? I mean,
were you just looking for a chance to say Noah Igbenogany or something? Was that?
I mean, that's every day. When am I not looking for a chance to say Noah Igbenogany?
That's awesome.
Frank, if we use the,
I'd like to buy a vowel.
If we use the thinking that we can't draft positions based on guys being a bust for us, we'd be out of positions to draft.
Yeah, totally.
With the 4th overall pick, the Jets take long snapper from State.
The Jets pass. We don't have luck in the 1st round. We're going to go to a different round. Not the second.
Every 2nd round pick.
Not the 2nd round.
Last 10 years.
We do much better in the 3rd round historically. We're going to stay there, please. That's what we're going to pick our play. But it's funny with the Vernon Gholston stuff too, because if you look back, I mean, Kayvon Thibodeaux's production in college is significantly better than than Vernon
His
Gholston.
production is insanely good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thibodeaux. His production is top notch. It's hard to do better than Thibodeaux's production.
So what happened today with Bilal Powell? I didn't get a chance to look, but somebody asked me, what do you think of the Bilal Powell? I didn't get a chance to check on it. What did it say? Anybody know?
Something about that. Somebody who knows. I saw something about it.
Yeah. Basically, I'll pull it up right now. I know he said like Jets fans, see you soon, something like that. Let's see here.
Yeah. What's
Jets
that all
fans,
about?
see you soon, and then 2 airplane emojis, which got.
So is he joining our coaching staff? Oh, maybe he's joining our coaching staff.
Coaching staff, or he might just be showing up at the draft party. It might be. It might be.
Yeah, that's probably all it is.
I want him. Why can't he be on our coaching staff?
Right, and so then somebody asked him draft party, and he gave the zipped mouth emoji.
Huh.
Then someone goes, "Don't call it a comeback." I've been here for years, and he gives like the big eyes, like,
I think let's bring him in here. Why
not? We
Yeah.
have Leon Washington helping out with special teams. I mean,
You can never have too many coaches.
So steady.
Yeah, you can never have too many coaches.
Pal.
Well, you know what I like? Speaking to that, Bruce Arians, when he took the Tampa Bay job, he said that he did this. He brought in extra coaches to specifically be his second team coaches, like extra coaches that they focus on the second team.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, right, why doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah. Pipeline. Bring Bilal Powell in here. Come on. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Is there a limit to coaches you can bring in? I don't think there is.
Don't think
right?
so.
You can never have too many coaches.
Nope.
I agreed it. I agree to it.
Passing game coordinators, run game coordinators. Why don't we have like
pipeline? We need a pipeline for these
Hold on,
coaches.
Frank. Hold on, Frankie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he was talking already. Hold on. You can say that next. What were you saying, Watchike?
No, I was going to say we have running game coordinators and passing game coordinators. We should have like run stopping defensive tackle coaches and edge rush. You could have a coach for everything if you wanted to. So why not? It's just you have so many coaches in the room.
Right. So what were you saying, Frankie?
Well, even if all he does is cut up tape, just get him started. Let's get these guys started on the road to being, the pipeline. Start the pipeline so that they can move on up. Why not?
Yeah. Like, think about it. Rather than having your offensive line coach who's clearly putting his focus on the starting unit, the other guy, why not have a coach dedicated to the next tiers? Like, why not have extra? I know they have assistant coaches and all this, but have a whole coaching staff. Their job is to build the pipeline and get these guys ready to be able to start. That's their whole. Why not? It doesn't make. That's when Bruce Arians said that, I was like, "This is why is this groundbreaking? Why? What is this?" So who knows? My Aunt Gina chimes in. She's up late tonight. She says, "I bet you take naps during the day." Gene, I'm going to tell you the truth right now. Today, I had a very, very sour stomach. So I slept probably 5 extra hours today during the day. 4 hours, let's say. Extra naps. But I like my naps. Ever since I switched from full-time executive to vagabond driving around the country, I started taking naps regularly. And I'm going to tell you, I don't want it to stop. My wife even says, like, are you going to do that? Or are you going to take a nap first? Like, it's part of our paradigm. I love my naps. So, right? Don't I nap, kiddo?
Getting old.
Teen Bean's supposed to be in bed, but he's out here too. Yeah. There you go, buddy.
Hey, T-Bean.
He's going to have his first video out soon. He recorded a video for us. Nice. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's about free agents.
He made me.
I did. It's part of his schoolwork. I weave it all in, man. That's the cool thing about homeschool. You can get creative, right, Jeremy? I should bend your ear on some stuff, Jeremy. New York Jeff checks in. He says, name one O lineman that will be drafted that KT went against. He went against no one. I'd trade down and take the Greek Freak. I love the Greek Freak, or Jermaine Johnson. I mean, look, if I go through and name the linemen, I'm guaranteeing that there's linemen that are getting drafted that he went against. I didn't correlate it all like that. So that's a little bit too much of a question, Jeff. I get it. You don't like KT. But I'll take a look for you. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll look in that vein. But I guarantee there's players that are rated against.
I mean, he played against teams like Oklahoma, Utah, who were ranked 10 and 12 respectively in the country. Not that I can tell you who their offensive line was, but he was certainly playing against quality competition.
I was watching tape of KT playing and beating AVT.
There you go.
So look at that. No. Watch the 2020 game.
Okay.
Watch the 2020 game when they played what was it, USC?
Yeah.
Yep. Watch that game. There's a couple of plays where he goes right through AVT.
Yeah. So there you go, Jeff. There's one for you. That didn't take very long, buddy. I understand your point. You have preferences, but I think generally speaking, whenever we jump to the extreme of one side or the other, it's usually not. You get further and further away from being accurate. That applies to many disciplines in this world. Somewhere in the middle is usually closer to being right. You don't have to like him, but he's definitely put it up. You know what I mean? He's talented. I don't think you can take that away from him.
I would just say too, let's look at the Joe Blewett tape. I have it pulled up here. Like Jeremy was advocating, and so I said, okay, what did Blewett say in addition to Jeremy? So let's take, if you want to take a look, Jeff, go look at the Jets X Factor website and see what Joe Blewett has to say. I'm going to do that right after the show. I'm going to watch that breakdown and see what I see. Because I think
also Luke just did one. That's where I saw it. I'm remembering where I saw it. It was Luke actually just did it.
There's another good one.
Like a Jet. So look at that one, and he stops it and pauses it and mentions that it's AVT.
Yeah. So there you go, Jeff. There's a couple options for you to get maybe a little bit, if you haven't checked it out already, get a little wider perspective. Go check at Jet X Factor's YouTube page. Look for the Joe Blewett breakdown of KT, and also, like Jeremy said, Play Like a Jets website with Luke Grant, who we've had on here a couple times. We've had him on this show. He's been on the Monday Night Mock. Actually, Joe Blewett's been on this show too. So they're friends of ours. We love them. We support them. We have great faith in their opinions. So go ahead and check those sites out. Maybe you see some things you weren't able to see before. Fred checks in. Thanks, Fred. He says, Chad Pennington as quarterback coach. Who wouldn't love that, right? Chad Pennington is a student of the game. The problem with that is Chad Pennington is in the middle of creating from scratch a football program at his son's high school. His son just committed to Marshall, I believe, same school that Chad went to. But Chad Pennington agreed to create, and for a certain amount of time, I think it was 5 years, to stay and run that football program for the high school. So I don't know where he is with that, but that's what he's been doing for the past few years, and he's not going to leave that for anything else. So now when that's over, I would love if Chad Pennington was a quarterback coach here. I think
I'd want Chad Pennington running for public office. I feel like coaching is almost beneath him.
I want Chad Pennington to be my father. Yeah. That's what I want. Let's see. Chris Mazer, new faces. Nice. Great content, guys. Well, there you go, Chris. Thank you. If it's your first time here, glad to have you. And yeah, that's this is Frankie up to your top right, I think it is, and Jeremy's down there to the bottom left, and that's Wat2K down there in the bottom right, and I am GreenBean. So we're glad to have you. If you just haven't seen these guys, don't forget they all have their own channels. We'll talk to you about that in just a minute here. So I want to make sure I wrap it all up. Let's see here. One more thing. Romeo Dredd says 10 people can see a movie and come away with different opinions. Why do people always think they know? Oh, I get it. And look, I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't subject to that as well. I think it's a human trait. Our opinion is the opinion. That's what they say. Like everybody, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. It's part of the gig. That's right. Some of them stink. Yeah. Right. Some of them stink more than others.
I always say, Romeo, I have a video on my channel called The Guru System. So there's certain people that I trust more than others. So Jeremy's one of those people. When Jeremy has an opinion about something, I pay attention, especially if it's a very strong opinion. If he's super strong opinion, I start paying attention. And so you can get the people that, you trust on certain things. Like I trust on offensive line training. I trust Duke Manyweather. When he tells me something's going on about an offensive lineman training, I believe him because he's a guru at that. When Joe Blewett tells me something about especially cornerback play, I know for that in particular, especially, and probably a lot of other things, but at least cornerback, I know he's an expert at that. He's a guru. So when he says something, I believe it pretty much. Not always, not 100%, but you can have a system of gurus, I think, that enables you to really, you can't be an expert at everything. You have to rely on some other people's expertise sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
I could not have said that better myself. And that's like one of the things that we try to do. Obviously, we have our opinions and we like to talk. That's what we're doing up here. But the truth is, we're acquiring these opinions that we have by looking at other experts. Like there are guys that we watch for breakdowns. There are, writers that we would consider more than others. There are websites. There are, draft sites and all that stuff that we like more than others. And that's how we formulate our opinions. So, and look, I come to different conclusions. Sometimes, just like earlier tonight, I would say, well, I think this. And Frankie goes, I don't agree with that at all. And that happens. We still looked at the same info. We came away with two different ideas. And ultimately, as we know, the only opinion that matters is Joe Douglas's and his crew. So hopefully we can just be happy with what he does and not feel like I have so many years in the past. I could have done significantly better than this. Then I can't believe I have to endure this. Why are they choosing these guys? As long as we don't come away with that, I think we're going to be much, much happier. But that's going to wrap up our show, man. We did, this is a four banger we did tonight. And I'm really grateful for everybody. I want to give these guys an opportunity to let you know where they are going to be. And Watch2K, what do you got going on? Anything special?
Well, we just had a Norfolk Admirals hockey game with the Virginia Jets fans group, so we went out and watched some hockey together last weekend, which was fun. We will be having a draft party at AJ Gators, so that'll
nice.
be definitely during night one. Yep. So I don't know if anybody else is brave enough to have the gates of hell wings like you were, Green Bean, when you came.
Oh yeah.
But but after that, I think Jeremy and I might be doing something on the for the show. Just we'll have to see how it all comes together, but maybe like a late recap, that sort of thing. And yeah, we do our show Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Come by and check it out. You never know what we're going to talk about.
Right. And that is at NFL Chaos with Jeremy, which we'll hear more about in just a second. But don't forget, Watch2K is the president of the Virginia Jets fan club. And what he's talking about is their meetup spot, AJ Gators. And if I am allowed back there this year for a game, which I'm now in Virginia, so I hope they'll let me back in. But I plan to get the Gates of Hell wings again. They were excellent. And I am routinely disappointed with wings. So that's good enough. And now let's move it right over seamlessly to Jeremy, the benefactor, maybe, of NFL Chaos with Jeremy.
Well, I am a benefactor of having Adam on the show and on my Wacky Wednesday show. And was what Frankie was saying is 100% correct. I want people to know that. I appreciate you valuing my opinion because a lot of what I learned comes from you. So. And I learned from GreenBean and I learned from Joe Blewett. And that's what my show's about, where, I'm just a fan giving my opinions and what I feel, but I'm creating and generating those opinions from everybody in this community. So that's what's so nice about it, that we're all connected to each other and everything. And I got a show on Wednesday. I got a show on Friday night, which is more of a hangout. And I got a show on Sunday night, which is more player analysis with Dom C. And my Friday hangout show is with Nick Shine, who has Proud New York Jets fan on Facebook. So the other thing is I do have a weekly show now that's being released, a recorded show called The State of Jetsnation. And it's kind of like I take all the juicy stuff from the live shows and formulate my final opinion for the week. Nice.
Good stuff. That's at NFL Chaos with Jeremy. And all these guys could use your subs, and that would lead us to the Submaster himself, celebrating 1,000 subs over at his channel. Frankie from Flatbush, what do you got?
I do want to call out one person in the chat. Kev Chatta has a good comment about Duke Manyweather, right? And this validates the system. Duke Manyweather said, it's so weird that the Jets signed Laken Tomlinson to play right guard when he's a left guard. And then later, the Jets themselves came and said, no, he's going to play left guard, just as Duke Manyweather said he should. So this validates, right, the system. So you're continually monitoring your guru system, and Duke Manyweather's one of those. He says, you know what? He was basically saying, you know what? He should really play left guard. And then the Jets' actions, they said, yeah, he's going to play left guard. So that validates your system that Duke Manyweather is an excellent guru to have in your system. So that's just, so I think that that's very interesting. And you always have to monitor your system. And, if your gurus start screwing up, you throw them out of your system. But anyway.
Yeah.
So Frankie from Flatbush Channel, we have recorded videos. We have Coffee with Frankie on Saturdays. We do a quick live show on Saturday mornings at 11. And we're doing a special subscribers only this Saturday at 11 to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, which I went past this week. And thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel.
Awesome, man. And again, very, very deserving. Frankie's just at the beginning, these guys, and it's going to be fun stuff. Frankie and Jeremy and Watch UK create awesome content. But guys, we are happy to have you here. I will just remind you for this channel, if you haven't liked the video, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated as well. But you benefit from subscribing to the channel. You get reminded whenever we do stuff, and we do a lot of fun stuff around here. If you like what you saw tonight, Jets Talk, that's what we do. So it would be greatly appreciated, and you would be happier if you hit the subscribe button. And I have my Patreon, which we have lots of other additional exclusive content, and that's real easy to join too. The link is right in the top of the description. Click that, pick your tier, and you will get different allowances and benefits and all that jazz. But it's a good time, man. We have a lot of fun. And I will end the show with that. Don't forget, all of their information is in the description as well. You can link. Oh, look at Ryan King. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Say one more thing. What do you got, buddy? Just this? He's like, I just want to say this.
That's just one more thing. Thank you very much.
One more thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Just one more thing.
Yeah, but that was Steve Jobs. That was Steve Jobs' tagline. He would do this whole hour-long presentation about some new program, and then he'd say, "Oh, one more thing. We invented a new phone." You know what I mean? It would be the big thing of the night. But I'll wait. I'll wait a minute. If that's it, it's funny, but I don't want to cut you off. Ryan, just send another comment in if you're good.
He's saying, I found it.
Where is it?
That one.
It's on the very bottom.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Got it. My dad was a Jets fan for years, ever since they were the Titans, and he passed away in August. Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It looks like you followed in his footsteps here, like so many of us before you, with dads and sons. That's what I got right here. This is another sad Jets fan that I've created. I'll tell you, though, Ryan, I tried to make him a Ravens fan, but he wasn't having it. His mother is from Baltimore, and I tried to get him to be a Ravens fan to save him from this. But I even bought him. He had Ravens pajamas and all kinds. We tried.
I could have been happy.
Yeah. And instead, he wanted to follow. You know what sucked? It was it was in 2009 and 2010 when he was becoming able to understand, and that was it. Rex got him. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. My Aunt Gina says it as well. Lots of people are writing in here. He says it was funny because he went to Erasmus Hall High School, and they honored his high school when my sister took his ashes to the Jets versus the Saints game. Oh, wow. Incredible. What an interesting story.
Yeah, Erasmus Hall's in Brooklyn. My dad went there as well. Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, we used to play it. Used to play him.
Used to play Erasmus Hall?
South Shore High School, Brooklyn.
Interesting. Yeah, well, my sincere condolences, Ryan. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, conversely, this is the woman who got me into the Jets right here. She is not apologetic at all, Ryan. She says, and she is. She's trying to get all the kids. She has Jets fans. All her grandkids are Jets fans. She's unapologetic. She runs right up. The first thing she buys every kid that's born is Jets clothes. So she's out there spreading the disease, let's call it. But anyway, guys, that'll do it. Thank you for sharing that with us, Ryan, and we appreciate all your assistance and support tonight. You guys are the best, and we will end the show with that. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.